because that's a bit more.
She has to move on now. She's already been given an infringement. Okay?
I've got the infringement. We're taking care of that for her, but we want to understand why she's been.
It's been explained to her. We're not going to explain.
Can I understand? Because the lawyer would like to know. We're taking this fight on for her and would like to know why she's been given. She lives in the area, so she's legally allowed here.
We're not going to discuss that with you. She's been given her direction. She knows.
What direction has she been given? What direction? She doesn't know. She doesn't understand. So you're abusing your power. You're kicking a woman out from her own neighbourhood park because you think you have some sort of authority that you don't hold. You can't do that to locals.
Everyone was being sprayed and it's just chaos here. And I think it's completely unnecessary chaos because the people have already gathered here. They're already protesting. This is just a show of force, a show of control.
We've done more for climate change than you have.
Here? What have you done?
We've done.
How did you get here?
We've done more for climate change than you have.
How did you get here?
See you later.
Naz, how did you get here? How did you get here? How many in your entourage?
You eat meat?
I eat meat.
What's your footprint?
But I'm not the one here. I'm not the one standing here pretending that I stand for all these things.
I'm doing good, brother. How are you?
But you do, mate. You do. There you go. The biggest hypocrite on YouTube.
People who wave swastikas vote for Trump, and I will vote for everything against somebody who waves a swastika.
Okay, well, that's kind of like really simplistic, but
It is simplistic,
A
but
couple
that's
of
all I
weeks
need
ago-
because they're f***ing Nazis.
But on the other.
Nazi?
No, but you are. But if you.
Oh, but I am.
No. That's not what I mean.
I just can't make sense of it where in a Western democracy, the media is not only not safe, they seem to have been targeted in that situation.
Yeah, I can't speak for exactly what the police were doing there and what was happening, but definitely you can see my face and you can see what happened.
Good on him. Why don't you wear another? Why don't you put another mask on? You're putting us all at risk.
Why don't you off?
Yeah, you're the one that walked to me.
Why don't you off?
How does it feel knowing that your group attacked the only here?
So you should
Where are you from? Where are you from?
off.
Where are you from? Why are you wear another mask?
Off.
You look like the Nazis the way you're dressed. You look exactly like the Nazis. Don't touch.
Two groups gathered here. You've got the Free Palestinian side, the pro-Palestinian side. On the other side, you've got a small group of Israelis there. They're from the community. This is most likely their neighborhood.
They claim it's not about anti-Semitism, but they keep throwing coins, throwing notes, showing us notes. This is 100% about Jews, not about Israel. And we've imported this hate, and their useful idiots on the left are enjoying and participating in their Jew hatred.
You should shape your beard
Why?
because it's like a bit messy down here. Yeah.
You don't know about different cultures, or do you just think you do?
I don't know about different cultures.
Always go around telling people of color what to do, how to dress. No, I don't. I'm asking you. Do you always go around telling people of color how to dress and how to look?
I want to hear about Daniel's breakfast.
Yeah.
That deflection. So the white anti-fascist being called out for his actual racism,
Did you eat
and
the
he's
yogurt?
deflecting by talking about nothing.
Did you?
Listen, stick to what you
find
do
out what
best.
Daniel had for
Your
breakfast?
racism.
Take your mask off, bro, and talk to me. Don't be a coward, bro. Don't be a coward, man. What's with the umbrella, man? I'm just trying to cover what's happening here.
Why wouldn't I be here? Why? Because you guys are so peaceful. Because you're so peaceful. You're all so peaceful. I wouldn't be here, the Jews wouldn't be here if the police weren't here to protect them. Making the point that they are a violent mob.
I'll stop now because you're asking me quite aggressive questions.
Well, I think
and
the
I
whole
didn't ask to be interviewed. This is an interview done against my approval. And if
vaccination
excused-
is also
if
the vaccine.
excused, If this interview
People
is
are force vaccinated. Do you think that's okay? That's against their will, and that's WHO pushed the vaccine.
I have never called for forced vaccination myself.
Why is that not the WHO official position?
I am not giving the WHO official position. Gosh, you're an aggressive interviewer.
What are you talking about? You're a wedding photographer. Please, do not talk to me.
We just had a guy tell us all about the working class, and you're telling me that wedding photographers can't do this kind of work.
Wedding photographers below your white privilege.
I
Yeah, actually, no, you're right. I got an answer. No, I just think I'm better than you two fucking idiots.
You said, yeah, that's fine.
Nothing to do with class or race or any of these things.
You brought up my job. You brought up my job.
Anti-fascist, and then he went straight to making fun of him like the person of colour is below him, the holy white man. Shame on you, you racist bigot. How do you put up with him if he's still voting for Dan Andrews?
Well,
We have a fight over it.
if he
Oh, did you have a fight over it?
Oh, no.
if he gives me my pocket money and doesn't
I'm
complain,
a traditionalist, traditional man, yeah.
yes, he is, and I love him.
God bless you
He's a good
both.
cook, and I'm the provider.
He provides the money. I cook up the 5-star.
You are the sweetest couple. I'll even forgive you that you voted Daniel Andrews in.
Don't worry, I'm taking him back to the nursing home.
What are you scared of medicine for, you coward?
I'm not a coward, man.
Yeah, buddy. Woo! Say hey, yo, people, be here.
When someone's like talking about something that directly affects you and they have no skin in the game. None, nada, zero.
How do you feel about Israel and Palestine?
I mean, I don't think the genocide in Gaza is good.
Do you have skin in the game?
That's like a little bit of a different issue, though. Like, we're talking about like the health.
No, but I'm just trying to make the point here. You have a really strong opinion about Israel. I'm applying your same argument back at you. You don't know what you're talking about. You've got no skin in the game. And
I'm okay.
okay. Funny how her logic only applies to her political foes. Imagine my shock. You're not happy about the crowd?
Hey?
You're not happy about them?
Isn't it a Nazi protest?
Where's there a Nazi?
Huh?
Where do you see a Nazi?
Well, that's just what I heard. Either way, alt-right.
Who's alt-right though?
These guys.
What makes them alt-right? Because they don't like Daniel Andrews.
Sure, I don't know. I'm not.
So what is it? You're the one sticking your finger up at him.
You're the one like harassing me over this.
You just stood here and stuck your finger up at a crowd, took a photo. So I think it's fair game. If you're willing to put all these people on your social media with a finger, calling them alt-right Nazis, I think it's pretty fair for me to come and ask you why.
That is true, yes, fair enough.
So why?
Because I just don't agree with them.
What don't you agree with?
Any of their stances, I think.
Give me one of them. One of their stances.
All right, tell me what their position is.
But you're the one that's standing against them. Surely you know.
Okay, cool. I gotta go.
So you don't know?
He's asked you before to step back.
No, he's asked me to get away because he doesn't want me here. That's very different, and you're breaking my meter in half. Same thing.
Yeah, is the reason you don't have a mask on for them?
Yep. We've been through this with your legal department about 5 minutes ago. You might want to ask your superiors about it.
I'll ask you.
You don't have to wear it when you're working like this.
Is that right?
Yeah, go. Call the media. Call the department again.
And your name?
Avraham Yemini.
Do you have your media pass?
Not on me, no. You don't. Mate, you want to call your superiors, you're going to go through this again.
I just need to know who you are.
Avraham Yemini, Rebel News, on my thing. Your intimidation tactics are not going to work.
I'm not trying to intimidate.
Ah, yeah, you are, because you know exactly who I am, mate.
So you're working for media, yeah?
Mhm.
You're spraying the media department, no issues.
Yep.
You don't have to wear your face mask while you're doing
Yep.
this, but just make sure that if you're just talking to the guys that you do put your face mask on for it,
Yep.
okay?
I'm going in and out of it, but I don't appreciate where they tell you that they don't want me in the park, so I've got to go, because if we go by that logic, most of the people in this park don't want you in the park.
Okay, listen to me. Listen.
So do you see how, if you want to apply that logic, it's got to be even?
Are you going to let me speak?
What?
Like I said, we've accepted that you're media. Okay,
Oh, thank you. You've accepted. No, but I don't need you to, because I don't need you, because I've come here from the minute I've walked here, and you guys have been confrontational.
Let's go.
There you go. They want you to work with them when it suits them, but they could come up and confront you at any time. That is the definition of a police state. And everybody at home that's apathetic, you let this happen. I just thought, let's skip the timer, as we always do.
Yeah.
How you going, mate? It's a long
Good,
time no
good.
speak. It's been
I
an
know.
entire
It's
24
like,
hours.
It's like we're doing it every day now. I know. I'm pretty wrecked, to be honest. I just landed off a flight. I'm having the dinner of champions. I'll just show people what I was doing while my screen was blurred. There you go. Beef, noodles.
You eat that crap?
And I was really hungry, and I didn't have time.
Better to have four vaccines and boosters than have that stuff. You're safer.
Better than more mRNA, not noodles.
Guys, welcome to the Opposition Podcast this Thursday evening. There is so much happening in the news, so we'll get straight into it. I just want to welcome you all. Remind you, first of all, help the algorithm. Smash that like button on whatever platform you're watching this on. And hit the share. Invite others to join our growing community here. There's 1,800 of you now with us across the platforms. So you might not see those numbers on your screen, but we are what's it called? Simulcasting, multi-streaming. Multi-streaming across all these different platforms. Now, obviously, the comments below that you see scrolling, that is from our YouTube channels. The one below me is my YouTube channel. The one below Rukshan is his YouTube channel. So if you want to get involved in the live chat and also have it featured, make sure to do it there on YouTube. And if you send us a super chat, we will read all super chats. In fact, there's one waiting now, so let's read that one. And it is from Cruel Intentions. Welcome back this evening, Cruel Intentions. Go on, do your job, mate.
Evening, ladies and perverts. Will this be the gayest OnlyFans stream ever? It is sure to be quite a
very happy stream.
Can we top yesterday's stream? Like, yesterday's stream went to places that I think people were uncomfortable with. The twerking at the end, the pink tutu. Guys, if you haven't watch back yesterday's stream. We had Avi at the end of the show in a pink tutu doing what's that called?
My kids were mortified. My kids were mortified when I came out. They don't watch the show, but I think their mother made them watch the show because she wanted to watch them squirm, and it turned out she was squirming at the end. She was actually, when I walked out, she goes, "You just went too far." It got to a point where it looked like you were enjoying it. Like, you had to do it. Fine, we get it. Everybody did the super chat wars.
Don't pretend. That was, I've been waiting for that moment for a long time.
Guys, and I'm still waiting for someone to come up with a proper challenge for Rukshan that people can also force him to do. Otherwise, I feel like, yeah, there's so much happening today. You know what's funny is because yesterday when we did the show, I thought, because we do it twice a week, and we pick the stories we kind of want to touch on, the big stories making headlines that week, and twice a week there's always something. And this morning when I woke up, I was like, there's not actually that much more beyond yesterday. But what a surprise I was in for. Let's start with the first story that has brought me much pride today, and we will unpack it.
About an anti-migration rally has been derailed after Bob Katter threatened a journalist who had brought up his heritage, calling him a racist. The federal politician told the media pack he'd punched people for less. Pippa Sheehan has the details.
A group of Katter MPs had called the press conference this morning to discuss a planned pro-Australia rally that's set to be held in a number of locations across the country this Sunday, and to call for the condemnation of Hamas, but it quickly went south. 5 minutes into their messaging, Bob Katter began taking questions, and it soon turned to his own Lebanese heritage and queries as to why immigration was so bad for Australia. Mr. Katter launched into a tirade of abuse at the journalist who had asked about the federal MP's grandfather who immigrated to Australia, but instead of answering, Mr. Katter began berating him and soon after came within striking distance holding a fist up.
Bob, you've got Lebanese heritage yourself.
Oh, mate, don't say that, because that irritates me, and I punch blokes in the mouth for saying that. Don't you dare say that. My family have been in this country for 140 years, right? So if you say anything like that, I have, on many occasions, punched blokes in the mouth, right? So I'm restraining myself today. Don't say that.
I'm sure
Don't say that, because you're a racist. You're a racist. You cannot say what you just said without being identified as a racist. So, gentlemen, ladies, this man is a racist.
The whole premise for the press conference was to encourage the reporting of those who disrespect the Australian flag and to promote a rally to be held this weekend called March for Australia, which appears to promote a pro-Australia anti-migration stance. The march on Sunday is being held in response to the mass marches last weekend by pro-Palestinian supporters, which the Katters claim is being supported by those who seek to do Australia harm.
If you have anti-Australian sentiments, then get the hell out of my country.
While you're out there being a pro-Palestinian rally marcher or someone out there that's pushing these values, remember what we're asking for. Condemn Hamas.
Queensland Premier David Crisafulli told reporters yesterday he supports the right to peaceful protest in Australia, provided it's done in a respectful and safe manner.
Now, what's interesting in all of that, in fact, I want to, because there's short clip on X.
Pull that clip up.
Yeah, it actually had like parts of it that, and what I did find interesting is ABC cut out in any reference to the Hamas conversation, any reference. So there, at least they mentioned it, but on the short clip, you actually hear what he's saying about all that. Let's have a
Oh,
listen.
mate, don't say that, because that irritates me, and I punch blokes in the mouth for saying that. Don't you dare say that. My family have been in this country for 140 years, right? So if you say anything like that, I have, on many occasions, punched blokes in the mouth, right? So I'm restraining myself today. I'm an Australian. My family have been here since the dawn of time. That's the end of it. Don't say that. Don't say that because you're a racist. I want their names because we have had a tradition of toleration. These people are not tolerating us. So you won't tolerate us, we want you out of this country, right? Because this country is fed up with your, we must be nice to everybody. Well, I'm not particularly nice to people that crossed the border, invaded another country and murdered over 1,200 people. Tick the boxes. Do they have democracy? Do they have rule of law? Do they have Christianity or some similar belief system? Do they have egalitarian traditions? Do they have industrial awards? Now, if they don't tick the boxes, they don't come here. If you have anti-Australian sentiments, then get the hell out of my country.
Yeah, fireworks there from Bob Katter. And look, that's classic Katter. You got to expect that from him sometimes. He does deliver on these type of fireworks out of nowhere when no one expects it. But today was a little bit interesting because he did touch on so many different topics that have been at the forefront of people's minds, and with the march coming up, and with some of the discussions which are happening right now. It touched on all those nerves, which I think is why this clip is actually getting around, besides just Katter being Katter himself and causing a bit of a media firestorm with his reactions. And I think, weren't you telling me just before we got on the show that they want him to apologize or something?
Yeah, so ABC ran a whole report. I saw it. So Channel 9 has put out, in fact, so I saw it on ABC. I'll read the Channel 9. Let me just pull up the Channel 9 statement. Katter. You can watch it on the Channel 9 had their report. That was kind of funny. It's funny ABC hasn't put up there, because I watch it. I always have ABC running on the back because I want to know what the enemies of Australia are saying about us. And so I watch it. It's just so funny how they cut out the entire anything to do with Hamas, anything to do with that part of the conversation, which was a bit. I was trying to actually find the unedited, the entire interaction. I couldn't really find it. I wonder if Katter actually put it up or has it on their site. Anyways, this is Channel 9's version of it that has their that has the statement on it.
Katter has unleashed, abusing and threatening a Nine journalist at a Brisbane media conference.
The 80-year-old was there to tell everyone about a list of Australians he wants deported before the federal MP deemed a question about his own heritage racist.
A long way from the parliament in which he usually sits, Bob Katter.
The gloves are coming right off now.
And they were.
Bob, you've got Lebanese heritage yourself. What would you...
Oh, mate, don't say that, because that irritates me, and I punch blokes in the mouth for saying that. Don't you dare say that.
The question from Nine reporter Josh Bavis was about the benefits of migrants with good values, families like the Katters, as described by Bob's sister.
My grandfather, Jiddi we called him, came from Lebanon when he was in his early teens.
And echoed by his son.
Has some Irish heritage and some Lebanese heritage, both were chased out of their countries at the time.
My family have been in this country for 140 years, right? So and if you say anything like that, I have on many occasions punched blokes in the mouth, right? So I'm restraining myself today.
But he didn't restrain himself for long.
Don't say that.
I'm sure that
Don't say that because you're a racist. You're a racist. You cannot say what you've just said without being identified as a racist.
In a statement, 9 News said this baseless and offensive accusation of racism is an irresponsible attempt to shut down a legitimate line of questioning and warrants a public apology from Mr. Katter. But it wasn't only 9.
I think you stop now because you've got a black mark on you too.
Yeah, look, we'll move on.
Bob Katter's outbursts have been part of his appeal in Canberra and Queensland for decades. What made this time different? It came with a clenched fist.
I think it's quite offensive to threaten a journalist with a fist.
Point taken.
Mr. Katter had gathered with members of his party in Brisbane promoting the March for Australia. Its website lists 2 goals: no foreign flags and an end to mass migration.
If you have anti-Australian sentiments, then get the hell out of my country. Because we are taking the names down now of anyone that treats our flag badly.
It's not clear what sentiments are considered anti-Australian or who'd be the judge. Charles Croucher, 9 News.
Very funny they say that and they cut out what he says about the anti-Australian values. He was literally pointing at people that support Hamas, people that support terrorists. And you know what's funny? Yeah, he has Lebanese heritage, which gives him an insight into the threat that he's actually standing against. And there's so many layers to this that's interesting because this whole March of Australia has been a topic of discussion now for weeks. It's about to happen. We're going to be there. Live stream, guys. If you're not going to make it, the live stream is going to be great on Sunday. Tune in. From what time does the event start? I don't even remember.
I think
12?
midday is the official time, but we'll
midday,
probably
but we'll start live streaming earlier. Tune in if you're not going there, because I promise you, I have no idea how this is going to play out for this exact reason. You have the Bob Katters who are going to march because in reaction to essentially the pro-Palestinian, pro-terrorist, pro-Iran mobs.
And I think, anti-Australian sentiment is a catch-all phrase, I think, which is what they're going with. And that's true. The pro-Hamas, pro-Palestinian marches have really displayed that on many occasions with the
the burning of the flags and all of that, and he does define what he means by it. But yeah, there is a broad in those protests. There is going to be a broad understanding of that term for different people, I imagine. But Bob Katter has been a staunch one that stood up there and actually defined it in a way that I think is resonating with most of Australia. Like if you look online. Cut out the political class. The entire political class I saw on ABC, from the Liberals to Labor, are calling for Bob Katter to apologise. To apologise for threatening the journalists. Now, that part of it is exactly as the 9 journalist admits there, is part of the appeal and the show of Bob Katter, both in Queensland and in Canberra. Everyone knows Bob Katter has these crazy and often funny outbursts. Was the journalist genuinely worried that Bob Katter was going to punch him? Come off it. He wasn't. It was a figure of speech, and he said, I've punched people before for it, and I'm restraining myself. Like, it was all...
He made himself clear.
It was all just Bob Katter being Bob Katter. He wasn't really like, I absolutely would condemn, even if it was somebody I agreed with, I would condemn if it was a big scary guy that does turn violent, that has become violent, that does stand over people, and then threatened a journalist for asking what was probably a legitimate question. I actually don't deny that the question is fine to ask. Like you do have Lebanese heritage. He took offense to it in that moment because he's taking it as like a question of dual loyalty. It's like you and I, we always get that thrown at us. Oh, you've got this heritage. How can you're not really Australian? And he's angry and he's frustrated and he responds to it as Bob Katter does. But most of Australia, when you're looking online, they're backing Bob Katter here.
Yeah, that's right. And look, I think some of the Lebo fire actually came out. The Lebo DNA came out in that moment out of Bob Katter. That's
the irony.
It all makes sense now. It all makes sense now, Bob Katter.
I love him.
But I must say, Avi, if you're thinking about Australians, like quintessential Australians, Bob Katter would be up there.
Yep.
When people think of Australians from overseas, they think of people like Steve Irwin.
People are shocked when they hear that he has Lebanese heritage, because he is so Aussie. Like, to call to throw that in there, and their point, like that journalist's point of throwing that question in there was to go, how can you be against immigration or mass immigration or whatever if you're Lebanese yourself? And it's such a ridiculous argument. It's like that would mean you and I can't have these discussions about immigration that we have on a daily basis just because our families came here as immigrants.
Yeah, and the thing is, Avi, like if you look at this, because you get this from both sides, right? So the far right say this, that you can't have an opinion because you are an immigrant.
Yep.
And the left also said, well, why do you have an opinion on immigration? Because you're an immigrant. You shouldn't have an opinion because you've benefited from it. So at the end of the day, the far right and the far left, in this instance, the journalist who is parroting some of these views, they treat immigrants as this class of people that should have no opinion or no thing. I think Bob Katter took offense to that, because even in the statement that he put out later, he clarified, being what being Australian is and what I don't know if you can bring that up.
I'll bring it up. That's what.
Which should probably read his statement, but he kind of clarified in his mind what it means to be an Australian. Now I know even with that statement, people disagree with it. But I think the point that is being lost in all of this is that the discussion on mass immigration is something that impacts all Australians. Whether you had a great-grandfather like Bob Katter did who was Lebanese, and that was a part of his heritage, or whether you've just come recently in the last decade or 30, 40 years to Australia and you have immigrant roots, mass immigration, what's happening through mass immigration, potentially, depending on how you look at it, could impact your life as well. So every Australian, regardless of their heritage, should be concerned about it and discussing it. And they're trying to do this whole thing like, oh, you're an immigrant, why are you marching? Or why are you condoning this? Haven't you benefited from immigration yourself, your family, your Lebanese family, and so on, in Bob Katter's case? And they're just trying to throw off that whole, the groundswell of support that people of all different backgrounds are now bringing to this march.
I don't know if you see Bob Katter. Where did you see his statement?
You can go to my ex. You'll find it on my ex.
You're always trying to get me to go to your ex.
Go to my ex, guys, at The Real Rukshan. If you're not following me, guys, I'll just do a quick plug at The Real Rukshan on X.
Okay, so you... Oh, here we go. Oh, okay, it was from Instagram. I was wondering where it was. Okay, gotcha. So a statement in relation to an incident at a press conference this morning. I love how he starts his press release with 2 Aussie flags. I'm a proud Australian. It shouldn't matter when you got here, how you got here, or how long you've been here. If you live by our laws, our values, and fight for our way of life, you are an Australian. To be seen as anything other than an Australian is highly insulting to me, and I demand an apology from anyone who questions my loyalties to this country. And I get him. And the thing is, when you actually listen to Bob Katter, when you push away all the noise and all the bravado and all the excitement, and I love his delivery style. It's wild. But he's always consistent. He's one of those rare journalists, that rare politicians that are genuine, that actually speak their mind, but their mind doesn't change based on what's the current popular thing. Yeah. He doesn't care. He would say the same thing no matter how popular or unpopular it was, because he is principled, and he's always been principled. And who was it? I don't know who told me this story. So this is totally anecdotal. Like, somebody recently told me that they jumped on a plane. I don't know if it was on this show or I can't remember where it was, but they said that they had a flight, some just national flight, so interstate flight, inter-country somewhere, and Bob Katter comes on the plane, and they're like, they're expecting him to sit up the front, and no, he was all the way at the back and just ended up sitting in the middle next to this guy. And I think that's like that's why people really love Bob Katter and connect with him, because he is real. He is real, and that comes with all the messy, like you even see at the end of that press conference when I think, is that his son? I think that's the MP.
Looks like his son, yeah.
Yeah. And he goes, point taken. And you have Bob Katter in the background doing this like cheeky smirk.
Like he's laughing it off. Like, well, I mean, like
there was a funny photo that they shared a couple of days ago. I don't know if you saw on Twitter, but it was Bob Katter in the airport, sitting at one of the gates there, waiting for his flight, and he's reading a book, and the book's title is Bob Katter. So I mean, like, this guy is just hilarious. He's a quintessential Australian. Like, when you think of an Australian larrikin, you think of Bob Katter. The way he had a go at the journalist, you think, hey, that's pretty Australian. He wasn't taking his crap. You'd see that kind of interaction maybe on like a footy field and something when things get a bit heated. But, it doesn't have to amount to the way that the media is portraying it as some sort of violent act. I think he made it clear, like,
they're playing two things at the same time. The media, they're playing the violent act stuff, but when you're not buying that, because anybody really watching that, I think it matters. Like, there's nuance in all of it. I am absolutely against political violence, but that wasn't really it. Like, you can say the words and act in a certain way, but no one was truly threatened in that moment. You just saw Bob Katter being mad Bob Katter. So then they pivot to the racism claim, which is funny to me because they call everyone racist for a lot less than that.
Yes.
And usually they say that the victim of the racism gets to decide if it was racist. Suddenly with Bob Katter, it's not subjective. Now there's suddenly an objective thing of racism. Now, to be fair, I don't think it was racist, but I do understand why he was so upset about it
wasn't racist, but I think Bob Katter understood the way that they were framing that question to delegitimize the march or the intentions of him supporting the march. Like he understood it from that point of view, I believe.
Yeah.
Again, that's my interpretation.
Guys, look, I love Bob Katter now, and I love him even more today. Sometimes he does wacky stuff. I'm like, holy... You know what's crazy is I didn't think that was nearly as bad as the other day when he was promoting this same march, and he was saying to egg politicians, if politicians from the mainstream parties show up. Let me play that video because I think that to me was...
We've got a lot of people here in the comments who've been on flights with Bob Katter, and they're saying that he sat near them or he sat across from their family. So yeah, it's a normal thing for Bob Katter.
Yeah, but just to clarify in the comments, let us know. Like, are you saying, because most politicians I know
in economy,
they sit up the front they take the full advantage of having the business class opportunity. Are they saying that he's sitting in economy with them?
Yeah,
because I reckon that shows the legend of a man. I'm sorry, that just shows a character. Let's see, what was it? Katter. Do you know where that video is? Katter.
That's I think that he took it down and he uploaded a new version without.
No. We need that.
You might see it around. It might be on X somewhere if you can find it.
All right, I'll. I guess I wish we had somewhere where we could just people could just send the viewers could help us in the chat with it. But I think because to me that video that he did promoting the march at first was way more vicious.
Yeah.
And it was like an incitement to violence that I thought was probably not okay. To be fair, I thought saying egging if because he said if any
politicians that that have never supported this or whatever show up,
I think he was saying like from the mainstream parties.
If any politicians from the mainstream parties show up, egg them.
Yeah. which I just don't think is right. The problem now when I search Bob Katter on X, for example. It is full of today's video. I think this is going to go down. One of those moments in political history, the videos, the viral.
Yeah, it's very early. Like, I reckon next sitting of...
By the way, this is what you were talking about.
This is what I was talking about. Yeah, Bob Katter reading Bob Katter. Someone was saying maybe someone wrote it and it's the first time he's reading. Like, oh, that's interesting. Because he's bought it as well. It's pretty funny. But I feel like maybe the next sitting of Parliament, they might try to censor him or whatever they do.
Oh, here we go.
21st of August, march. And 21st of August, march. And if there is a member of the mainstream parties there, throw eggs at them, please. Throw something at them. They have no right to march. They have sold our country out. Now, the Liberals want to prove that, we're very liberal-minded. We bring these people in that are totally different to us. See how little L liberal-minded we are? the ALP gets in and they say, oh, we can branch stack with them. They'll all vote Labor. We'll see to that. We'll bring them in on condition they vote Labor. So you've got two parties selling you out. Now, 92% of the people coming to Australia over the last 12 years have gone effectively to Sydney and Melbourne. There is no jobs there. All of the processing plants, all of the factories have gone. The motor car industry is gone. The underwear industry is gone. There are no jobs there. So what are they doing there? How dare you bring these people to our country and then have them be looked after by the public purse? Take money off every single Australian who's struggling to buy food for his family, and you bring these people in. They go on the dole because there's no work for them. In Sydney and Melbourne, there's no work for anyone much in Sydney and Melbourne, except from the public purse. Except from the public purse. So.
Great points. I mean, look,
so that's what I'm saying. That's what I'm saying is, like, if you actually listen to what he's saying, both within the press conference and the content of that one, minus in both cases the violent outbursts. Although today's one I thought was just a lot more theatrical. The one there, it still was Bob Katter theatrics. However, I think that one crossed the line in the fact that it was inciting people to throw something at politicians who, to be fair, if mainstream politicians rock up to a rally in support of Australia and the flag, supporting it, I don't actually think you should attack them. I think you should promote them. I think that we should encourage more of them from within the mainstream parties to do it.
Well, I mean, it is the mainstream parties that are kind of pulling the strings as far as immigration goes. And they're the ones you have to get over the line in terms of coming on your side. So we did see, interestingly, like Pauline Hanson kind of talked about the march in the Senate and talked about marching for Australia. So, that's someone who's supporting it very publicly. We had Tony Burke today from the Labor Party. He put out a whole statement around the march and saying it's racist and not to go and all this type of nonsense. I don't know if you can find that statement from Labor. So... you can see the contrast. Like, we talked about this march now for multiple weeks because obviously we've been following it Avi closely, based on X. And it's only this week, as the march gets closer and closer, you're seeing all these political attacks, all these media attacks from that specific group intensify now. And ABC's done a whole expose. So, they are really treating this march in light of also the incidents which have happened in Victoria recently as something that potentially they could use to paint people in a bad light. So if you are going to this march, be very aware, be vigilant of your surroundings. If you see anything suspicious, people acting funny, people kind of trying to cause trouble, the best thing you can do with your mobile phone is just film that. There is going to be a lot of shenanigans, if possible, from the mainstream, whether it's politicians or media, that have a foregone conclusion of how they would like to portray this. And all of this that you're seeing today, Bob Katter's reactions, the way that Ten is reacting, it's all going to play into that. And they do have a foregone conclusion. That's my personal opinion. And it's something we should be wary of. Are you still looking for it?
Yeah, I'll just try. Here we go. Is this the one? I think this might be. Let me pull it up and see.
The Prime Minister's trying to get a phone call with Benjamin Netanyahu.
No. Anyways, fine. He's calling it right. We can assume what he was going to say. Let's read some of the super chats. I've got to say, guys, if you're watching this, we've got almost 5,000 people here watching it. First, smash that share button. And if you love Bob Katter as much as I do today, hit that like button. Hit it for Bob. I want to see the numbers on the likes just go up for Bob today. All right, let's read some super chats.
This is from Capulte46. Thanks for the super chat. Avi, I think you and Rukshan should both wear tutus this Sunday at the march so my daughter can take a photo with both of you. I think we can use AI for that after the fact. If we wear tutus at a march and the opposition protesters come, the counter protesters come, they might take a liking to Avi and myself, and we might get involved in all the things that they like to do. So perhaps it's
All
a
I
bit
know
dangerous
is
to
I've
know.
already worn my tutu. We have one tutu. I've worn it. Rukshan hasn't. What do you guys think? Rukshan maybe can borrow the tutu on Sunday.
Tutu, no, not on Sunday.
Thank you for the super chat.
Thank you
Who's
so
who?
much. And this is from Thomas Crenshaw. Thanks, mate, for watching again. I'll proudly be at Flinders Street on Sunday. I'm disgusted with the way the media and politicians are shaming anyone who has pride in our flag and country. Here.
Yeah.
Like it's just misdirected the way they're going after people for that, because they don't, Avi, like you pointed out earlier, they don't go after the other protests in
No.
the same manner. The attention and focus that they're putting, even for Tony Burke, to put out statements prior to a protest where Australians want to go and turn up and carry the flag. These people are people that don't even condemn the protests where they end up with the ISIS flag.
Exactly.
The flag of Hamas.
That's
They
a
don't
good
condemn
point.
those things. And before Australians even go out with the Australian flag to march, they're already condemning it. And like they're putting out these big statements in Parliament House and through the media. It's just a shame that this has happened to this country. We're just showing pride in this country and this flag of this nation, the Australian flag, creates so much turmoil for the politicians in Canberra that they feel like they have to stop people from doing it. It's insane that this is what's happened.
Let's go.
This is from we got to figure out how to say the names of everyone. Ape Bros.
That's why you're meant to be reading it. You have one job.
3921. Albo got embarrassed today about the IRGC. Lol. I missed that. I didn't see that today, but potentially during a question time or something, he might have got embarrassed.
What
Thanks,
was it?
mate,
I missed it. There's so much happening today. To be fair,
we'll go have a look for it later.
Yep. Cheers for the super chat.
Ben at Dover. Thanks for the super chat. I can read that name. Bob for Prime Minister. Can you imagine Bob Katter as Prime Minister?
I would go for it. Here, I found a statement. So this is from Tony Burke. This is a joint statement from Tony Burke and Anne Ali. That's the one we were discussing yesterday, who was trying to redirect the attention of Islamic terrorism to suddenly the sovereign citizen terrorism because one nutter killed two cops for the first time in Australia. Joint statement on the publicised events planned.
Can you zoom into it?
For the weekend. Let me see. Yeah.
Yeah, you can.
Is it? It doesn't seem to. I think once I do that, it doesn't.
You can read it out.
I'll read it. The Albanese government stands against the event planned for the weekend. This is like insane. Like you said, when have they ever put something out like this about pro-Hamas rallies in the lead up to it? They don't even know who's going to attend. All Australians, no matter their heritage, have the right to feel safe and welcome in our community. There is no place for any type of hate in Australia unless they're Labor voters, chanting death to the IDF. Quote attributable to Minister of Home Affairs Tony Burke: there is no place in our country for people who seek to divide and undermine our social cohesion. You freaking hypocrites. We stand with modern Australia against these rallies. Nothing could be less Australian. To them, their version, to Tony Burke's version of Australia, and he, if I'm not mistaken, he's Western Sydney, isn't he?
Yeah.
That is one of the most un-Australian places in the country. And it's not just because it's diverse, it's because there's a lot of people there in his electorate that hate this country. That no matter what this country has given them, they hate it here. Because they have a completely different ideology that Home Affairs and governments like Tony Burke have imported them here. Anyways, quote attributable to the Minister of Multicultural Affairs. I didn't even know that was her portfolio. Dr. Anne Ali. Is she a real doctor? Is she like... I'd say she's a fake doctor. Multiculturalism is an integral and valued part of our national identity. We stand with all Australians, no matter where they were born, against those who seek to divide us and who seek to intimidate migrant communities. We will not be intimidated. This brand of far-right activism, grounded in racism and ethnocentrism, has no place in modern Australia. A whole bunch of buzzwords there in a row to try paint anyone who is proud of Australia. You know what the funny thing is? There are so many immigrants that would come to these rallies, and the only reason why they may not come this weekend is because they are worried about the neo-Nazis that have claimed that they're going and that have tried to claim the protesters as their own and that have confused the messaging around it, including even Beck Freeman herself. Like her freedom, her whole shtick as well has probably scared off a lot of proud Australian immigrants, people that are proud to be here. But to paint anyone that is proud of this country as somehow racist or far right is laughable, because I bet you if you put Bob Katter next to either of these two people, compound them, put them together, Bob Katter on one side, Anne Ali and Tony Burke together, the amount of Australian, the quality of Australia in the one, compared to two of them together, there is no, you cannot even compare. There is no comparison. This guy is true blue. Those are two fake Aussies. That's the truth of it.
But I mean, look, that's so true. And the fact that the government is now preempting protests, that they, really nothing has happened as such. They're preempting, it being a bad thing. They're putting it on their letterheads now, and they're putting this weight behind it. So it is kind of setting it all up, isn't it, Avi? Like, it feels like they're setting it up for something to happen. They want something to happen. Again, I'm not trying to put people off. This is not what I'm talking about. But I just want people to be vigilant and aware of what is going on right now, because the media is circling, the government is circling. We have these incidents which have happened in the last couple of days as well, which have brought this to the forefront. So it's all this conflation of many different things now. We on yesterday's show, we showed you them talking about sovereign citizens, trying to conflate that with people that had just normal anti-vax sentiments, and also people that question the government. They've conflated all those things together. They want to bring in censorship. I don't know if you know this, they're also having an inquiry into the far right in the Australian Parliament. So when you look at all these things together, this is like a perfect storm. So we have to be aware on that day. Obviously, watch our live stream where they're doing our utmost to bring you authentic, real coverage of what happens on the ground. But there will be, opportunities there for people to instigate, perhaps, or turn it into what they want to turn it into. And you just have to be vigilant, aware, and document the good things that you see. Because I, truly believe that most Australians, people like Bob Katter, passionately love this country. They're there for the right reasons. They're concerned about the future of this country, and that is something worth marching for and defending. As much as these governments like Tony Burke and these guys tell you that it's worth defending some foreign issue by marching on the Sydney Harbour Bridge and sometimes with terrorist flags. Not everyone, of course, it's not everyone, but they have those sentiments, some individuals, and anti-Australian sentiment and burning the flags. They didn't put out statements around the Australian flag being burnt.
They rally around the leaders.
On the top of the Parliament House in Australia is the Australian flag. But when people on the streets that support Labor Party are burning the flag, they don't have statements to put out. They don't care. As soon as anyone wants to march for Australia and carry the flag, well, you have these bloody statements.
Nasa Mashni, who called the flag a piece of silk.
Yeah.
Who often, spews vile anti-Australian rhetoric, just like his anti-Australian rhetoric.
Yeah.
Their response to it is not to condemn it in these terms, not to condemn it for the divisiveness and the hatefulness it is. Instead, they line up to take pictures with this extremist.
Yeah.
That's the difference. That's the hypocrisy here. And I really hope that on Sunday there is peaceful rallies across the country of true blue Aussies, the Bob Katters, the average Aussies who don't stand for actual racism, who aren't racist, who stand for Australia, for the flag, and love this country and love what it's supposed to be. I hope that happens, and I hope that wins. And I hope that the government doesn't get what they want. And what they want is a pack of Nazis rallying, waving whatever, not spewing whatever hate, and so that they can turn around and say, I told you so, and off the back of that, they're going to find some legislation to throw at us.
Yeah.
And they're going to have the community support because everybody saw that they were right. That's what's going to happen if the Nazis win this. And that's why it is so important that this weekend, that those who agree with Bob Katter, not with the whole fist and not with the throwing stuff at anyone, but with his sentiment, with his arguments, with the content, the substance of what he's saying, if you agree with him, go out there and be heard. Make sure to drown out those racists.
Yeah.
Make sure that you are part of the majority. And that you know what's going to happen is, like, if there's a big enough group that stands up and pushes back at this what I still believe is the minority fringe.
Yeah.
But the problem is that they're trying to scare what they're trying to do now in the lead up, the government, is they want to scare the majority from coming.
That's what these statements are about. That's what the media coverage is about. And that's what the newspaper coverage is about. It's around scaring not the people that were already going, not the people that had already kind of have these strong opinions about supporting the country. They know that this is kind of it's gone a little bit viral, and there's different people talking about it in their lunchrooms and their tea rooms and telling their friends and things to come. So those people who are on the fence about maybe going out there that day, they want to scare them off from turning up. And that's why you've seen the government put out these statements. So there's some official condemnation that the media can run and say, look, the government's also saying this. The police are saying this.
Yeah.
And so don't go. So what would be the worst case scenario for the government right now is if there was masses and masses of Australians on the street that day with flags, being patriotic, being peaceful, and completely showing them up. And I think that's what people have to aim for with this march. But like you said, Avi, unfortunately, there's some shady characters involved as well. And it comes with certain baggage. And that is why you need that overwhelming mass of people that don't share those sentiments to undo those characters. Because, it's a free country, at least in the sentiments that we want to believe. Anyone can turn up, right? So you have to be able to drown out those kind of type of voices.
Yeah. And to be honest, if you're a proud Aussie, I don't know how you could support the Nazis. It's literally what the Anzacs fought, bled, and died to defeat. And guess what? We won. Those losers lost. And hopefully on Sunday, those losers lose again. Both them, because if they lose, so does the government. And it'll be a double win for every real patriot in this country.
100%. The government is counting on them. Baz the Dark Horse says, Aussie Bob, the most Aussie bloke on earth. Yeah. He gives credence to the fact that you can have people that come from different backgrounds, even 100-something years ago, Lebanese grandfather, whatever, and then there's a distinct Australian identity that develops over time, and that is Bob Katter. I saw Drew Pavlou share something like that, and it kind of makes sense. Like, there is something distinct about Australians, and Bob Katter, I think, has a lot of those qualities. Cruel Intentions, thanks for the super chat. Bob is unapologetically Australian, and I'm so here for that. Politician not afraid to tell the truth is what we need.
Totally. Agreed. Guys, love it. I love that everyone loves Bob Katter, and the likes are going up. Bob Katter's going to... Guys, if you like Bob Katter, whatever platform you're watching on, hit that like button to the video.
Catherine, thanks for watching tonight. Like Joe Balky-Peterson, love Katter. That was also another character going back, I think, Queensland. So he's... I don't know if he's way before my time, but I do hear...
I didn't even... look... It seems like we deported Rukshan already. That's like far. He just dropped on us, that one. Rukshan just literally dropped on us. Should we watch Bob Katter again just while Rukshan reloads, because that was just so entertaining? I reckon, why not? Let's bring it up again just to enjoy it for one last time before Rukshan gets back on and we read the last super chats and move on to the next stories. Although I could talk about Bob Katter all night, because his treatment of the media today was nothing less than inspirational.
Lebanese heritage yourself?
Oh, mate, don't say that, because that irritates me, and I punch blokes in the mouth for saying that. Don't you dare say that. My family have been in this country for 140 years, right? So if you say anything like that, I have on many occasions punched blokes in the mouth, right? So I'm restraining myself today. I'm an Australian. My family have been here since the dawn of time. That's the end of it. Don't say that. Don't say that because you're a racist. I want their names because we have had a tradition of toleration. These people are not tolerating us. So you won't tolerate us, we want you out of this country, right? Because this country is fed up with your, we must be nice to everybody. Well, I'm not particularly nice to people that crossed the border, invaded another country and murdered over 1,200 people. Tick the boxes. Do they have democracy? Do they have rule of law? Do they have Christianity or some similar belief system? Do they have
He's not an idiot. He's actually a really articulate, smart guy.
Now, if they don't tick the boxes, they don't come here. If you have anti-Australian sentiments, then get the hell out of my country.
Love it. Sorry, I just had to replay. What happened this time? What was your technical?
Mate, because I'm floating around these days, right? I'm not in one set space. I am continuously. Unlike you, comfort of your studio. I am always on the move, on the go. I do real work for a living as well, not just videos. So
working for Lydia Thorpe is real work now.
I don't work for Lydia Thorpe. And then I got to set up and move around. And for some reason, as I've set up at home, my internet, there's some issue. So I don't know. Hopefully it's not going to cause too many issues tonight.
You've got a little delay, but that's all right. I think we can live with it. Main Street, who's this? Go, do your job at least while we have you.
Danny Mac. MSM are happy to raise Qatar's Lebanese heritage. Where are the questions for Payman and Faruqi, who show their clear loyalty to their home countries?
That's a good point, but the thing is, they would do that if either of them, and it just shows you, if either of them were proud Australians, they would do that. But the problem is not where he came from. The problem is just that he's proud of this country, because the implication is if you're proud of Australia, you must, by definition, be racist, or by implication, by going to a proud Australian flag event, you are somehow a racist, and you just don't get that the other way around.
Yeah, I think the implication more so is you can't be nationalistic around Australia being like a unified group of people that should have one flag and one set of values and one set of beliefs to be Australian. Now, I know you can have different views, but even just the general view around, loving the Australian flag and the country, if they want people to be able to hate the country and burn the flag and have, multiculturalism and all these ideas, right? I think that's the problem that they have on the left. Baz the Dark Horse says, I am starting to love Bob. He reminds me of my granddad.
I wish I had such a cool granddad. Bob would be a good granddad. I'd be happy for him to be my granddad. And in fact, you know what? After today, I'll be happy for him to be the Prime Minister. That's it. He's sold me.
And well, be careful reading this, Michael. We should jail people that burn our flag also. I thought you said we should do something else to people. No, we should jail people that burn our flag. And I think in the United States of America...
that was one of the stories. So I'll just bring that up now so we can watch that.
Live look here that is over in Washington, D.C. Now, we are learning a little bit more about the crime crackdown there in D.C. as it does appear that the first homicide has been reported in several days. We also want to talk just a little bit more about a man who torched an American flag in protest being arrested. So much to discuss here. Let's bring in Fox 5 DC's Stephanie Ramirez joining us live outside the White House. And Stephanie, obviously a very busy morning here.
A busy morning indeed, and actually just within seconds we did have some National Guard members arrive on scene, so you might see them behind me here. It looks like they're picking up trash right now at Lafayette Park. We are just outside of the White House. All right, now in terms of the federal takeover, we know the Trump administration has been touting the takeover federal surge as the reason why D.C. crime has not only dropped in the district, but the reason why we've seen nearly 2 straight weeks of no homicides. But that did change. We learned within the past hour that D.C. police did have a fatal shooting in the southeast neighborhood of the district where a man was shot just before 12:30 in the morning and ended up dying of his injuries. Southeast, unfortunately, an area that is often plagued by crime. Now, moving on. And the president leaning into his focus on D.C. crime, the federal surge, and the focus on the administration of law and order. He did announce a number of new executive orders, and we saw an arrest connected to this. You were just talking about it. A man arrested outside of the White House yesterday evening at around 6:30. He burned an American flag, and we don't know his name. What's going on, though, is that the president had just announced an executive order essentially prohibiting the burning of American flags. And so we believe that this action was done in protest of that. We don't know the man's name. We don't know if his arrest is in connection with the executive order. Right now, Park Police are telling us that the charge or the violation that he was found to have committed here is called prohibited fire. We also don't know the man's name. What we are told is that he is an Army combat veteran, and he did this action, burning the American flag, in protest just hours after these executive orders. So again, the president leaning into what he's been focused on already here, issued these number of executive orders. One of them seeks to have anyone who burns or desecrates an American flag be prosecuted and spend a year in jail. And then there are other issues focused on, like, for example, requiring the Secretary of Defense to begin training and creating a specialized unit within the D.C. National Guard that can be deputized to enforce federal law. He wants the country's National Guards trained and ready to respond to civil disturbances. And another big one that targets D.C. specifically is an executive order to get rid of cashless bond. Now, D.C. leaders argue that goes against the crime data in the district. The D.C. ACLU argues that the president, quote, is furthering his dangerous performative abuse of power in D.C. and that it can actually have a negative impact on public safety by separating people from their support networks, jobs, and housing. Now, do want to note the D.C.
Anyway, so the interesting part of that story is it's so funny the way they twist everything. Like, DC's clearly not working. It hasn't been working for years. Trump's trying something new, and they're trying to say, oh, the experts that have failed at every single point till now are warning that this could have an opposite effect. It's like, dude, it can't get any worse, and things are only getting better. In fact, they were talking about in the beginning where there was no shootings, and then they found a shooting. How many shootings were there before these executive
orders? It was
orders?
actually one of the highest rates of shooting in the entire country. I think it was about 28 or 37 out of 100,000 people, whatever the percentage or the metric that they use. And it was almost as DC had more homicides than Islamabad in Pakistan.
So many.
That's how bad DC was. And you've had all these videos as well, just before we get to the flag thing, of people in DC, especially even African Americans, walking around the town now, filming themselves and saying, it's so wonderful to be able to walk around in our city. It's so peaceful. It's so lovely. Thank you, President Trump. This is what we wanted. Because for a long time, Avi, especially during the Biden administration, even previously, these vagrants have been hanging around. All the undesirables would park themselves in DC and just do whatever they wanted, right? And you can't have that. You know, this is a capital city. It has to be clean. It has to be safe. And I think Trump is making moves to do that. And the flag thing, you know, what are your thoughts on the criminalizing flag burning? Or
so it's funny. I actually totally agree with it. I think that free speech. I think we have limitations on free speech, and that's defamation. That's incitement to violence. And I think the other one should be the desecrating of our flag, of our national pride. Burning the flag should end you up in jail, and if you're not from here, should get you deported. Or if you're a new immigrant, deport you, because you're showing I feel like it is an incitement to violence. It's a type of incitement to violence, because it is creating that thing of what are you trying to say when you burn the flag? You're burning the country, which is the symbol of the symbol of the nation. So you are essentially, it is an act of at least inciting people to turn on the country, and that has to eventually be violent. So it is a form of incitement to violence, in my opinion, and I think that we need to make it. I think one of the ways of promoting pride for the country is criminalizing the destruction of it, and so I totally agree with it. I think that we need it here. I think we need to start dealing with those that. What was it, in Melbourne on that same day? And that's what sparked it. Remember, this protest on the weekend was sparked from that. It was probably even more, like the Sydney Harbour Bridge was a shocking scene for a lot of Aussies. Like just the picture of it when they flew the drone past, and you could just see, over the top, there's hundreds or thousands of Palestinian or terrorist signs or flags, whatever. Not an Aussie flag in sight, except that little tiny one that, what's his name?
I was going to say, there was one Australian flag.
Chris Ovaries and what's his name? John Ruddick.
Ruddick,
and it's so funny to me that John Ruddick's now announced that he's going to this protest, which is so weird, because isn't this protest a protest that it was literally sparked by protesting the protest that he's still defending he went to?
Yeah.
That's what happens. That's what happens when you're the opposite to someone like Bob Katter. See, Bob Katter has been in this game for so many years, but he's one of those people like Pauline Hanson, where if you go back to see what he was saying, whether it was within a stunt, whether it was, I think with Pauline Hanson, it's probably more conscious stunts where that she does to make a point, whereas Bob Katter, it's just his natural personality to be over the top. But if you look back, it's always been consistent. He's always held these views. And so you won't see him 1 week at the terrorist rally and the next 2 weeks at the rally against the terrorist rally. You just won't see that by this guy.
100%. I don't know if you've seen, just touching your point earlier about this, the pro-Palestinian marches, the ones that we've seen over the last couple of years, and the sentiment, a lot of the sentiment against Australia as a motivational factor in this march. Maybe not the overwhelming one, but it is a part of it. I've seen recently Syrian girl jumping into these spaces and stuff with Beck Freedom, trying to be like, no, it's not about that. Can't let the Zionists hijack this. It's not about the Palestinians, and the people support them in the country. They're good. It's the Chinese, it's the Indians. They're the problem. And so there is this kind of a denial by some of these groups that want to say it's not about that. But I think for a lot of Australians, it is. And Bob Katter said it clearly today, that this is one of the motivating factors, that the hatred that is shown. And again, it's not by everyone that's there. I just want to make that clear. But the organisers, at least, we can say for sure, the sentiments that they share are very anti-Australian when they talk about this country. And they have the privilege to march in this country for their foreign cause and be supported by the Australian government. Our government is supporting those groups more than they support the people of Australia.
Like you said, they didn't put any statements out before or even after they supported him. So, and I think you're right. And that's the difference between like people like Beck Freedom as well to Bob Katter, is that like you'll listen to 10 minutes within a 4-hour. What are they called? I always forget spaces. And you'll hear her contradict herself 10 times. Bob Katter has a very succinct, very, thought out belief system, because he actually believes in something deeper than hating other groups for no reason.
I mean, his thing's deeper than skin color. That's the basic way to put it. It's beyond just white skin, and that kind of thing that this group tends to go through.
All right, let's read these super chats.
This is from Michael Cizia. We should jail people that burn our flag also. I think we read that one before.
Oh, did we? Oh, that's what got us onto that. Sorry, you got a double read.
This is from Staffy. The far left call Hamas freedom fighters, but goats call them creepy stalkers. We will take that as a statement, Staffy.
I got to say to you, so I served most of my service on the Gaza border. I was actually in Gaza a few times back in my service, and what I can attest to is there are people, at least on the border, that were quite close to goats. And like, I know that is just a thing that people joke about, but I saw some inappropriate goating.
Yeah, I mean, it's sadly a thing in certain parts of the world. It's not just a myth. Equity says, all the best guys and everyone going on Sunday. Thanks, mate. Thanks for the super chat, and thanks for always watching the show.
I am saying to people, I'm just hoping that it becomes the right thing. Like like the whole time, I haven't told people to go to this thing or not to go to this thing. I said, if you do go to this thing, stand up for Australia and stand up. So stand up for Australia against, one, those that want to tear it down. So those that are burning the flag on the other side, like literally the pro-Palestinian, the Marxist socialists that are counter-protesting. So protest against their hatred. But also, if it's people purporting to be on your side, stand up for Australia. Stand up for to remember the Anzacs who fought, bled and died, fighting the ideology of people who were trying to wrap themselves around and hide their agenda in the flag that fought their freaking nonsense.
Yeah, and because there's nothing more right now that the Australian government and the media want than to portray every single Australian that loves this country as a Nazi.
Exactly.
And they will just use any opportunity possible. So, you just got to be mindful of that. This is from Insane Shooter. Thanks for the super chat, mate. When the Cronulla riots happened, I received a text message from the Lebanese Muslim friend who insisted we went together. I'm glad we didn't go because they would have turned on him. I don't like stupid people in large crowds. That is, look, there is that concern that there might. That's why we kind of warn people about being prepared. Really,
look, I think we need to draw a distinction between what was going on in Cronulla at that time, because that whole thing was a specific kind of race battle between the Lebanese and Aussies in Sydney on the beaches. I vaguely remember how it started with a group of Lebos bashing a lifeguard at the beach or something along those lines, and then it became this thing that was literally them pitted up against each other. That's not what, and there was no, so like, to be fair, if I rocked up at Cronulla at that time, I probably would have got my head kicked in because they would have mistaken me as a Lebo. But happens to me more than you can imagine. But the point is, that's not what this is being portrayed. And even the organisers that I do think, like Beck Freedom does certainly, because if you've paid any attention, she certainly at least has sympathies to the neo-Nazi groups and to their ideology. She believes in it. She calls me don't feed the Jew. Like, she speaks like that. She doesn't like Jews. She doesn't like people of other races. But I don't think she's the rally. She's somebody that hijacked it just like the Nazis, and she's kind of massaged it more, went and got the permits or whatever. I don't think that the majority... I'm hoping to believe that Australia is a lot... And from what I see as well, just even from looking at the online engagement and people talking to me, I feel like they still are in the minority. They wish they were the majority. They wish that they could somehow turn this into their thing. And that's why I'm begging anyone that does go there, stand up to them. If you see it, stand up, be the leader against it, because my gut tells me that if these rallies are as big as they could possibly be, and that the majority really doesn't stand with Nazis, if you stand up to show a bit of courage in that moment, the thousands behind you will probably rally behind you, especially if you articulate the point well, that our Anzacs fought, bled and died fighting the same scum, the same hatred, their hero, Hitler, their hero, our soldiers, our diggers died fighting off. So stand up at the time. Be courageous if you're going to go. I'm not telling people to go because I don't know how it's... I genuinely don't know. And I keep saying this because I'm excited for the day because I feel like we're going to bring the best coverage from the best kind of journalistic perspective, like the best event in the country. But I don't know how it's going to play out. I know what I hope. But if you don't feel safe, don't go. That's for sure.
This is from 35mm Raw. Thanks for the super chat. Really wish you legends were coming to Brisbane, although Melbourne needs you more.
Brisbane sounds like, you know what? Sometimes I look at Brisbane and I think, I wish I just lived there. It seems so much more chill. People are like more normal. And you know, like you even see You ever see ethnic-looking Aussies from Brisbane? People like that look like you and me, and they're so much more Aussie there.
Yeah.
And they're proud Aussie, and they're wrapped around the Australian flag. Whereas here, I think it tends to get lost amongst the socialists and the Marxists.
We're in woke central here in Victoria. As you go down south in Australia, like from New South Wales to Victoria, it just becomes more and more woke down the bottom here, down under.
Abby's here tonight. What's Abby got to say for herself tonight?
If it's illegal to burn Australian money, then why not the flag? I mean, thanks for the super chat, Abby. I didn't actually mention my thoughts on this, and a lot of people argue about free speech around. It's a free speech argument to burn the flag, and I kind of understand it. I kind of get it, but there are things which are off limits that are not protected by free. There's certain things we can't do, like Abby says, burning money, and certain things which are protected. Is protest in the country, you don't necessarily have to burn the flag, do you? I mean, there can be things off limits which don't really interfere with people's right to say something.
Yeah.
And I saw a really interesting discussion. I don't know who was talking about it online around this in America, because a lot of even the conservatives are against Trump on this. People who are absolute free speech people don't like this idea from Trump, saying that it takes away people's rights and free speech, all this stuff, right? So. But people were saying when the founders, in America at least, framed the Constitution, they're like, oh, they didn't include flag burning and all these kind of things, because the expectation was that's not something you do, as an American, and it was, I think, only in the 70s or the 80s after some case or something happened that this kind of became a free speech thing. So we act like it's always been the case that. Somehow you have a right to burn the flag. You should burn the flag. But I think that's for devolved societies, really, where that kind of happens a lot more often. And we're getting to that point where it's something that they do, like these left-wing people especially, they do it so casually. And kind of like to your point, Avi, to incite people towards hatred towards the country and other clashes. So, yeah, it's an interesting debate. I don't know where it will go in Australia.
Make it illegal.
Make it illegal.
Yep, criminalise that shit. If you hate this country, leave. If you hate it. It's like so many people tell me to go back to Israel. Funnily enough, it's the people that also don't recognise Israel. But I actually love this country. I'm sad to see the direction we're going. I'm scared for the future of this country because I can see the writing on the wall. I know where we are in 10 years. Because I'm not an idiot, I just have to look at the UK. I just have to look at Europe. I know. But guess what? I luckily, in this time in history, being a Jew living after World War II, there is now a backup plan for Jews. I have somewhere I can get, if this place goes down the road that it seems to want to go, in the trajectory that it's going, I've got somewhere to go. But people need to stand up and fight. I'm going to stand up and fight until it's too late. But when it's too late, I have a backup plan. Guys, unless you're willing, I think probably create a backup plan anyways, but stand up and fight because this is ridiculous.
What do you say to the criticism? I know the point you're making, but what do you say to the criticism from people that say the fact that you do have a backup plan means that you're not really Australian because you do have an option?
I don't think that's what defines you as Australian. I think what defines you as Australian is sharing the values, the Australian values, and loving this country. I am absolutely Australian. I'm scared for where this country is going because I think it's becoming un-Australian. And that's when I'm out. Yeah. I'm going to leave when it's not Australia. And you know what? If I didn't have a backup plan, like somewhere I could just naturally go to, I would find one now. I would start prepping to get out because...
There's lots of Aussies who have left the country. I see that online a lot. There's lots of expats living in other parts of the world who have made the choice, especially in later life, to just leave the country altogether because they're just sick of it here.
Mate, go look at they go to places like Thailand and Indonesia. Like, imagine the point that we're at, that Indonesia's a better option than Australia.
I know.
It's scary.
It's very sad.
Let's go. Let's read. Cruel Intentions.
Cruel Intentions. They won't jail you for burning the Australian flag, but burn a Quran and they'll lock you up. I think there's some sort of incitement thing, isn't there? Like religious. I haven't seen people burning religious symbols here
in Australia.
I maybe it came up previously. I haven't seen. I did see that lady, that politician I don't know if you saw it, burning a Quran in Texas.
She's not politician. She's running for Congress.
She's running for politics. Sorry, she's running for Congress. And we do see in Europe sometimes, and sometimes
there was that guy that just got killed.
He got killed recently, for burning the Quran
live on. I think it was
during a live stream or something.
During a live stream, they killed him. But it is interesting. The fact is that if you went out to the city and burnt a Quran or a Torah, probably I reckon the only one you would literally get away with is the Christian Bible. To be fair, if I'm being completely honest, and that is what's crazy because it's a Christian country.
Yeah,
and and that's the thing. But that tells you everything you need to know. Like the only holy book that you could probably get away with burning on the street here would be the New Testament, the Christian Bible, or the Australian flag.
Crazy.
All right. Thanks for the super chats. A couple more super chats, and we'll get on to the next story.
This is from Jen Loves Truth. Hijacked or not, it's 31st of the 8th. Aussies chance to stand. Yeah, I'm seeing a lot of that as well. So
yeah, I am seeing a lot of that, and that's why I'm saying to you, I actually believe, I have faith that the vast majority are going to be proud Australians who, by definition, are anti-Nazi. They're anti the Marxists and the socialists. That comes, but they're anti the Nazis that are trying to hijack it.
This is from the Rig 1339. Pauline is Australia's Trump. She copped all the same labels since the 90s. Bob is a legend, but he's so animated people don't take him seriously. Yeah, Pauline Hanson, I think, if you look at her career from the start, she was perhaps ahead of Trump in the way that she framed certain issues back in the day. If you go back and look at Pauline Hanson talking about issues, you could implant that exactly to today, and it matches identical to what lots of politicians are saying in Australia and around the world in her same kind of circles of politics. So she is a bit of a trailblazer, don't you think, Avi, in that respect?
100%. 100%. Look, I think there's a place in Australian politics for both of them. I genuinely look at both of them as in their own right, being true blue Aussie fighters that have gone up against and don't really care what people say or think about them, and 100% stand by their convictions, and that's what it's about. I think they both deserve respect. When did he join Parliament? Bob Katter, how long has he been?
Let me look it up.
Yeah.
I might kill my computer if I look it up.
Yeah, don't do that.
I'm not touching anything.
Member of Queensland Parliament in office, Bob Katter. Is this right? Does this make sense? Member of the Queensland Parliament for Flinders from 1974 to 1992. Does that make sense?
Probably, yeah. Yep.
So that would have been state parliament, and then he went federal.
State, yep.
Wow, he's been in this game for a long time. Yeah. But and look, I've watched enough stuff from him, maybe from 2010, 8, 9, to remember that he's always been consistent on all his. So it would be interesting to go that far back, but he's always been like a policy guy, and he's like the country for issues, local issues. He's always stood up for the little guy. So I guarantee you, when you asked him a question about an issue, he was consistent. I would go back. I would put money on it from back then, just like Pauline Hanson.
Yeah.
But thank you for the super chat.
Insane Shoots, thanks for the super chat. Any tax-free nation Any tax-free nation is a backup plan. I'll be driving a Toyota in Dubai with a YouTube channel.
Yeah, there's a lot of Aussies that go there too. Look, I love it when people only ever question my backup plan because it happens to be Israel and they hate Israel, like whatever. So don't hate the, what is it? Don't hate the player, hate the game.
Hate the game, yeah.
Yeah, so the point is, a lot of Aussies move out. A lot of Aussies have backup plans. And to be honest, in Australia, a lot of Aussies, like if you're white Australian, many of them are married to people who have another set of citizenship or whatever, or a background where that's their kind of backup plan.
This is from the branch 4756. Anzac and Christian values are Aussie values 100%. Yeah, I mean, Anzac is, when you're talking about a military thing, but it is a defining moment. How the country kind of shaped itself and came into its own during that period of time. So it definitely does define Australian values. They're one and the same thing. And yes, the Christian underpinnings of Australia, even though today, Christianity is not observed in the same manner it is as it used to be when it comes to Parliament, for instance. We have new things that they worship in the Australian Parliament, like welcome to country and things like this. This wasn't always the case. And obviously, the underpinnings of this nation, as many Western nations around the world, is rooted in Christianity as well. And they go hand in hand. And you would want to expect at least the people that do come to this country to respect that part of it, because that is what built this great nation. And the fact that people are being educated in a way by our own politicians to hate that part of Australia is just, it's just shocking, Avi, because I think that's what's leading to this, right?
Exactly.
Because when you do have politicians stand up and say, don't respect the country, don't respect the flag, don't go to these marches, don't represent your country, over time, that leads to this sentiment where we do have arguments about Australia Day. We do have arguments about our history when it comes to the Indigenous history and things like this, because they just don't want to be unified. They want to keep us divided, and they don't want us to have this shared national identity, which is rooted in our history.
Last super chat before we move on. Baron.
This is from Varan. Thanks, mate. Good to see you. Shalom, Rukshan and Avi. Jewish Australian male. Australia is my only plan. If it means going through a pogrom, I will face it bravely like all of us.
Well, there we go. That answers a few questions, because we asked if Varan was Jewish, because we thought that was kind of an Indian name.
Possibly.
And then we weren't sure if it was male. Well, Shalom Varan. That's how I would pronounce it if it was Hebrew. No, look, I think that there are a lot of Jews that agree that will... look, to me, it's not about... It's. There's a certain point where I'll turn around and go, I'm done. Like, I'm not going to... I know my history enough, and I know Jewish history enough to realise at some point you don't stand a chance. I'm not going to sit here and perish with my family. At what point for me is the line in the sand? I don't know. I'm nowhere near it now. I'm certainly in the fighting stage of trying, because I think there is still hope for Australia. But at some point, I think I'd be an idiot not to get out, because if you talk to Jew, we grew up in a Holocaust survivor community. Melbourne's one of the biggest Holocaust survivor communities in the world, and I remember hearing all the stories from the Holocaust survivors. Like, we knew them growing up, and none of them saw it coming, and a lot of them regretted the fact that they didn't heed the warnings early, like their family didn't do it. And literally, it was one person who survived in the whole family, because they just thought that there was no way, or that they would stand and fight all the way till the end, or there was no need to fight. So I think there's a point of being realistic about it as well. Right now, I think, and my job, my role today, here now in 2025, is to try wake Australians up to the looming threat, to help fight back and take this country back, and to protect it from getting worse, from going down the road that it's going. But if all else fails, I have a backup plan, and I think that every Australian should have a backup. I think every human on everything should always have a backup plan if all else fails. There's just a good piece of advice to live your life on. Let's move on. What do you reckon?
Let's keep going.
We have another story making grouse news at the moment. Ex-Victorian Premier Dan Andrews compared to a Soviet dictator Joseph Stalin in statue debate. The Victorian Parliament has erupted after Dan Andrews was sensationally compared to a Soviet dictator Joseph Stalin amid debate over plans to honour the ex-premier with a bronze statue. A Liberal MP has come under fire after sensationally comparing Daniel Andrews to one of the most murderous dictators in history. The Victorian Parliament erupted on Wednesday evening after Upper House MP Anne-Marie Hermans compared the former premier to the Soviet dictator Joseph Stalin. The comments were made during a fiery debate about plans to honour Mr. Dan Andrews with a statue. Liberal MP Moira Deeming led the debate after tabling a petition with more than 12,600 signatures calling for the government to abandon the honour. I do see the.
Is there a resemblance at it?
A resemblance.
Like a physical resemblance. Let's forget about ideology for a moment.
It looks like a more retarded version of it, but yeah. I think Stalin looks better. Like, he's definitely not got the bung eyes like Dan Andrews. Have you ever stood in front of Dan Andrews?
I have only seen him in the flesh twice, I believe, and not close enough.
So I've stood right in front of him, and he had I wasn't sure which eye to look at, because he has one that goes that way and one goes straight, but you never know, because sometimes it's this one that's straight and it's that one's going that way. So it's very hard. It's confusing. Anyways, Stalin doesn't have that, all right? I'm just saying. I'm not saying Stalin's better. I'm just saying he doesn't have bung eyes. That's a point of difference, all right? But it was her colleague, Miss Hermans, who caused the government MPs to erupt in fury after making the comparison between Mr. Andrews and Stalin, who is responsible for the deaths of millions. Miss Hermans initially refused to back down, saying Mr. Andrews Mr. Andrews' reign dissident was a crime. Dissent was a crime. In his reign, dissent was a crime. I'm getting tired. A government that centralizes all power in a single office is not strong. It is autocratic. She said. She's right. A leader dismisses any dissenting view as unhelpful or selfish is not decisive. He is authoritarian. This is not new criticism. We have seen a pattern of behaviour that systematically undermined the foundation of the Westminster system. Okay. Anyway, so that's what she said. Let's have a quick watch of this little. I think it's related. So let's just see.
Is it related? Well, it doesn't look related.
No, I think it is from this story, but it's. I don't think the title there is right. Give it 2 seconds. I'll just reload it. Here we go.
Some people are asking why he's getting a statue. So he was in premier for more than 3,000 days,
and that's why he waited. That's why he waited.
He waited for the statue and left.
Yeah.
Why would Parliament be debating about building a statue of Daniel Andrews?
Well, what's happened here is an MP's brought a petition. MPs are entitled to, tick and support a petition, or even just to present a petition because there's a group of people in the community who've got a view. So it's important that their views be allowed to put.
Seriously?
Look,
seriously?
So
remember what Daniel Andrews did to us?
I do, and let me just say, I would not put his statue high on the list. If I was looking for statues, he'd be very low on the list.
I managed to get him banned from our golf club, so I don't really want to have to go and look at a statue of him. It's not going to happen, is it?
Look, I just don't think that Victorians at the moment, where there's a cost of living crisis, think that statues are the thing. Statues of Daniel Andrews after what he did.
Oh, Danica was on the program before us, played some old grabs of Daniel Andrews during the dark days of COVID.
telling people you will
People
not
shudder when they hear this.
You won't take your mask off to drink alcohol when walking on the street.
Yeah, you do it through a straw or something.
Straw. Playgrounds are shut.
You won't be able to go fishing. Solitary fishing was banned.
You can play golf. Yeah. That gives me PTSD.
The Liberals weren't any better.
And I don't even know. I dare say Steve Price. Was he an anti-lockdown guy? I don't think so. I'm pretty sure he was all with it.
Everyone follow.
Hold on, but let's what they're referring to. I think Nathan. Let's give him a shout out, Nathan. Milk Bar TV, the Milk Bar TV on X, makes incredible videos. If you don't follow him already, go and smash the follow button. But this is his little montage of, I think there might be music on it, so I'll just isolate that sound in case.
These rules, and they are as simple as they can be, then we will get through this together and we will get to the other side of it quicker.
Melbourne is city to have endured the world's longest lockdown.
They're now shooting. It's painful, but it is absolutely appropriate.
Yeah, we're just at the intersection of Victoria and Lygon Streets. An enormous amount of police are now gathering.
It's the most important commitment for Victoria Police, forcing the Chief Health Officer guidelines.
Hopefully flatten that curve.
Well, Victoria Police will take whatever steps they need to take. Protests don't work. Protests are not smart. They're not lawful.
Anything in relation to space code?
No. It's illegal. All of it can be avoided if people don't protest.
Avi?
Yeah, it's got the sound on
it. If you bring up the article about this on The Guardian, it's very interesting because even Victoria Police has kind of had a go at Moira deeming or this kind of whole debate as well, saying that calling we just saw the scenes of Victoria Police there, calling the Victoria Police like an arm of the Andrews government is offensive, especially in light of what the community is going through at the moment. So they were very offended by the fact that it was called like Daniel Andrews' private army, and we saw from that footage how the Victoria Police were behaving. I mean,
yeah, it's annoying. He put music over the top of it that was that will give us a copyright strike, but that video just gives you an idea of the. So Moira Deeming this is The Guardian. Moira Deeming criticised for describing police as Daniel Andrews' personal army in statue debate amid manhunt for alleged killer of 2 officers. You see how deceptive this is to tie.
So dirty.
Dirty.
That's so dirty.
And these guys,
just dirty.
This publication will mock me for not being a real journalist, where this is not real journalism. This is not real journalism. At the time, Daniel Andrews did treat the police as his personal army to enforce his rules, which a lot of police said they didn't want to do, and even the command itself later all came out that they were just being guided by this guy that was on a power trip. And to now use the because that's what they're doing, they're using the emotional thing about alleged killer killing 2 officers, which is a horrible story, and 2 things can be true at once, and you can have 2 conversations at the same time. Can have. And the thing is not even that attack is not even necessarily an attack on Victoria Police itself. It's more of an attack on Daniel Andrews for inappropriately using the police.
That, and also, this is just not the media's framing, but also the Victoria Police spokesman gave this type of framing as well. So even the police are kind of being opportunistic in this scenario, right? If you can zoom into that, if we just have a little bit of read of it.
Yeah, let's have a read. Victoria Liberal MP Moira Deeming and Herman have been criticised for comparing Daniel Andrews to a dictator amid a manhunt for a so-called sovereign citizen who allegedly killed 2 police officers, with Deeming accusing the former Premier of using the police as his personal army during COVID lockdowns. Deeming on Wednesday night debated in Parliament a petition she had sponsored opposing erecting a statue of Andrews. Passing the milestone of 3,000 days as Premier made him eligible for one, but the Allen government has maintained it has no immediate plans to act on it. The Liberal MP said authoritarian regimes put up statues while their leaders were still alive as a tool of political dominance, of intimidation, like Lenin, Mao, and Hussein. We should be erring on the side of tradition that honours leaders who do not lead their people into mass starvation and violence. But hey, that's just me, Deeming said. I could just imagine the way she said it. She said Andrew's leadership during the pandemic lockdowns. Police were used as the personal army with weapons of war and no name tags, and that Nuremberg trial principles were totally ignored. Deeming also referenced a 2013 car crash involving Andrews and his wife, when he was the opposition leader. The family of the teenager cyclist involved are preparing to bring a private criminal prosecution against Andrews. She told Guardian Australia that the debate slot was planned weeks, but that's what I was just about to ask, before the deaths in Popanka. Is that pronounced Popanka? Popanka, yeah. It's a bit of a tongue twister, that one. With her speech also referring to the expense of a statue amid the cost of living crisis, linking those poor police who were killed in the line of duty to a petition presented in Parliament about a statue is absolutely disgusting, Deeming said. And I think it's important to note, because I had that question in the beginning of this article, is when was this tabled? When was the plan? Like it would have been way in advance. And what? Exactly. So she's supposed to just give up on her planned, but where she got over 12,000 signatures. She's just got to give up on that because the timing doesn't suit the news cycle. That is just such nonsense. And they've got this, like, they've got one set of rules for the Moira Deemings of Parliament and another set of rules for the Greens. It's just complete and utter nonsense. Herman spoke in support of the petition, telling the Chamber the erosion of democratic principles in the state under the leadership of the former Premier, Mr. Daniel Andrews, cannot go without comparisons to Joseph Stalin. It's actually pretty funny.
I didn't know this. I got to follow this politician.
Yeah, I didn't know. I don't know. Good on her. Let's give her a follow.
Got to keep an eye on her.
Just half of the coalition's 14 upper house MPs voted on the motion to formally take note of the petition. It was comprehensively defeated. The opposition leader, Brad Batten, held a party room meeting on Thursday to express his disappointment and anger at the duo's comments. Come on, Batten. I've sent a very clear message. I'm disappointed in the comments. I'm angry about what has happened, and I'll be ensuring that each and every one of them must have a focus, and that focus is on Victorians. Batten reportedly said.
It's like he sounds like a Pseudo 2.0 in the making.
This
is what the Liberal Party do all the time.
And you know how they got him on the emotional part? Because he's an ex-copper. So that's the way that they came at him with the questions.
They came at him and he folded.
Yeah. Sources at the meetings, which included Nationals MPs, said Batten blew up and told MPs they should become independents if they want to go off message. Speaking outside Parliament on Thursday, Herman said her words could have been wiser in reflection. I don't take back the autocratic side of it. It's a fair description of Daniel Andrews' leadership. Perhaps words could have been chosen better in terms of Stalin, because obviously we haven't had any sort of genocide, and I wouldn't want that, Herman said. But at the end of the day, we are fighting a Marxist ideology. She's right. The police minister, Anthony, this is what you were talking about, Anthony Carbines, told ABC Radio Melbourne the commentary was deeply offensive to police. He noted at the same time, as Deeming and Hermans were speaking in the chamber, he was at a press conference with the Premier and Deputy Premier after the death of a girl in a school car crash and the naming of the officers killed in Popanka. I'm never going to get that. Popanka. I don't even think you're pronouncing it right. Popanka. All right, maybe. Shooting. It's extraordinary that the behaviour is that. It's extraordinary that behaviour is allowed. The focus of Parliament needs to be. What the hell did this cop say? This is the top cop saying It's extraordinary. Just listen to what he's saying.
I know.
It's extraordinary that behaviour is allowed. In our free and democratic state, the police, the top cop, who it has been alleged was the military arm of, I don't think he wasn't the top cop then, but his police force were used and abused by the government. He's saying it's extraordinary that behaviour is allowed. What do you want to happen? Do you want the police to barge into Parliament and take Moira Deeming and Herman's, drag them out for offending you and your boss? It's just so crazy.
This is what I mean. The police are meant to be not political, right? That's what we expect, at least. And I understand there's something that's happened that involves the police, but there's more to, like, you expect professionalism from them, even in this scenario, because that is actually, it does come with the job.
Yeah.
And the expectations of the job, as tragic as it is. So is the expectation that when something happens, then politicians, can't discuss a truth about some issue? Because we saw those videos, Avi, of how Victoria Police were behaving during the time of Daniel Andrews. And I think the comments by Moira Deeming and this other politician were accurate and on point.
Yep.
A lot of people at the time, even police members that have spoken out about this, did say that Daniel Andrews was pretty much using the Victoria Police as his own private army.
Yep.
To enact his enforcement against the public with draconian measures that many people very vehemently disagreed with, including the police themselves. But they did that for Daniel Andrews, because he kind of made up all the things that he wanted to do in that time, and he made sure those things happen. I don't think, like, you can't then say later on it's offensive to mention that and rewrite history. You know what I mean? Like,
it's madness.
They've never taken accountability for it. Patton ran away. Never once did he take any accountability really for what happened during that time. And Victoria Police still, despite what's happened, the tragic circumstances of what's happened at this week, they still have a lot to answer for what's happened in the past. Like, people won't forget that. An incident as tragic as it is does not absolve them of what's happened in the past.
You can care about the incident. You can care about police's welfare. You can condemn what's happened to them. You can even be morally supportive of them, whilst at the same time pointing out truths of past wrong behaviour. And in this case, there's two things. One, this was pre-scheduled prior to that horrific killings, and two, it wasn't actually like a direct attack on Victoria Police. It was more an attack on Andrews himself. But we better move on. Let's read a couple of super chats and move on, because there's a couple of stories I had scheduled and I want to smash them out before we end. You read these?
Equity says Avi has done more fighting than all of us combined.
Read that again.
Avi has done more fighting than all of us combined.
Say it one more time.
Avi has done more fighting than all of us combined.
Guys, I hope you clipped that. We got him saying it 3 times. Thank you, Equity, for your support. I appreciate
Thanks,
it.
Mate. Varan, thanks, mate. I have a clown wig and a super glue ready for the statue. I mean, this statue, if they put up a statue of Daniel Andrews, in Victoria, where you drive through CityLink and they have that big yellow Jeff's erection or whatever, just near CityLink.
Yeah.
They're going to have to put Daniel Andrews' statue on the top of that. So because if it's anywhere near where people can reach, and I don't condone any type of, vandalism or anything like this, but if it's anywhere that people in Victoria can reach, and it's not behind some sort of glass cage or metal cage, that statue will not last in the state of Victoria. There are very open wounds around Daniel Andrews.
And to be fair, that's why I think that the government's actually not considering it right now, because they know, like, they literally, the cost of the statue itself, what you're also going to have to add to it is the full-time security.
It's going to cost way more than machete beans to maintain that statue of Daniel Andrews, unfortunately. Thanks for the super chat, mate. Sunnyside First Fleet. Bob Catter is an Aussie legend, defund biased ABC.
We'll take that as a comment. We absolutely agree. A Sunnyside and another one from Sunnyside.
The march is pro-Australia. We are more than just the sum of parts. We are Australia. Thank you, Sunnyside. I just got a WhatsApp as well, Avi, from your missus, and she tells you to drink water and take a breath or something. Breathe.
Was my wife messaging you?
Maybe she's worried she might have to come in there and save you again because you're not breathing.
Has Avi drawn a breath tonight?
I stay hydrated now as much as I can.
I'm actually a bit under the weather, to be honest. I've been drinking tea all day because I just don't want to get sick. I'm so excited for our coverage on the weekend, and I'm just like, I started to get a bit of a thing in the throat. I've just been smashing tea with ginger. What is it? Ginger and lemongrass and ginger tea with actual ginger in it, lemon squeezed in it, a bit of honey.
Sounds very girly.
Mate, and then I eat the ginger in it. Just trying to get better. Anyways, there you go.
Varan, thanks again. Come on with Andrew's wonky eye. He couldn't see that kid. Seriously, if they make a statue, it should be when Andrews fell down the stairs. I've seen those AI pictures of him falling down the stairs, and maybe that actually explains the allegations around that car crash.
that would, I think. Yeah, if they're going to do a statue, it should be him falling down the stairs and it should have his wonky eyes in it. Then I support it. Yeah. Thanks for super chat, Baron.
Cruel Intentions. If Dan Andrews gets a statue, I will identify as a pigeon. And Cruel Intentions, that's probably legal in Victoria at the moment. You'll be celebrated. Oh, yeah. You might qualify for some sort of government support if you identify as a pigeon.
A cage, a government-sponsored cage.
Yeah, it comes with lots of benefits in Victoria. Faith, thanks again for watching, mate. You joined us yesterday as well. I think you'd look great as B1 and B2 in pajamas with Aussie flags this weekend. B1 and B2.
I just don't know. I'm not enjoying the fact that everybody's getting me. Like, when it was just against me having to do something, everybody piled on. But now, as soon as we're saying now it's Rukshan's turn, they're like, you got to do it together. What do I got? Well, can't you do something on your own? I've got to hold your hands. My wife just told me to breathe. Now they're riling me up again.
This is the brown privilege. It's subliminally people are feeling sorry for me. And they're like, we can't really, go after the diversity hire that easily. We gotta get the other guy to join in and suffer with him.
That's fair. That makes sense.
Vekas2BC, thanks for the super chat. The news article was nothing more than biased towards the Liberals, but credit is overdue for showing more backbone of being an actual opposition. I mean, look, and this is the thing. This is true. But what you noticed in that article as well was it was just two members of the Liberal Party showing some backbone. Yeah. And the moment that they did show some backbone, their leader came out and rebuked them and had a fiery meeting, which they leaked all the details to the press as well, so the press can see like, oh, they don't like it in the leadership team. Why don't you become independent? So the Liberal Party is struggling, and even though Jacinta Allen is doing really bad right now, the polls still seem to indicate that she will pull through come election time, and that's a scary thought. So Brad Batten and the team need to get their act together to actually be a viable opposition come election time. Any other... how can you lose to Jacinta Allen? Seriously. How could you lose to Jacinta Allen?
Yeah, I know. All right, let's quickly smack out these stories. This is a funny story. And funny... No, you know what? It's sad as an Australian. It's funny as a Trump America fan supporter, and just knowing how useless our government is at the moment. But sad as an Australian.
The Pentagon has denied the US Defense Secretary Pete Hegseth held a formal meeting with Defense Minister Richard Marles during his visit to Washington, D.C. earlier this week. A Pentagon official has described the catch-up as a happenstance encounter. Instead, both the Greens and the Coalition say the US is treating the Albanese government with contempt. Here's Foreign Affairs reporter Stephen Jedjets. And Stephen, what exactly happened with the Defence Minister and the US Defence Secretary, and what's the political fallout been?
Yeah, Dan, this is, to be frank, a pretty curious story. So back on Sunday, the Defence Minister announced that he would make a trip to Washington, D.C. This has been stood up, or had been stood up, very, very quickly. I understand, only over a week or so. So this was not something that had been long planned. This had, for whatever reason, been organised at fairly short notice. Now, the Deputy Prime Minister said in that statement that he was looking forward to meetings with Pete Hegseth, the Defence Secretary, as well as other senior members of the administration. But what became pretty clear once Richard Marles arrived in Washington, D.C. is that perhaps because of the chaos in Washington at the moment, particularly at the Pentagon, it was difficult to nail down a meeting, particularly because the Defence Secretary had so many other commitments. Now, understandably, Australian officials scrambled to organise something. In the end, they did manage to organise a catch-up between the two men after Mr Marles had sat down for a meeting with, ironically, a more senior member of the administration, namely JD Vance, the Vice President. Now, Mr Marles never described that catch-up as a meeting, but he did say he took the opportunity to reaffirm all the ties that have existed between Australia and the US for some time. And then overnight we had a rather unusual development when the Pentagon, through an official, put out a comment saying that they did not have a, quote, meeting, but rather a, quote, happenstance encounter, which is, to be frank, a strange thing for the Pentagon to do, given the closeness of the relationship. They seem to be pouring cold water quite deliberately on the significance of the meeting. Now, basically, the government has been in something of damage control mode since then, trying to point out a few things. One, things are very quicksilver and unpredictable in Washington at the moment. And two, even though this meeting or encounter, happenstance encounter with the Defence Secretary was a brief one, the Deputy Prime Minister still got FaceTime with senior officials, including, most importantly, the Vice President. And that was the point that Jim Chalmers, the Treasurer, wanted to make earlier today. Let's take a listen to what he had to say.
The Deputy Prime Minister of Australia met with the Vice President of the United States, and Secretary Rubio has a number of roles, crucial roles. I haven't had a debrief from Richard on the discussions he had with the Defence Secretary as well. But by any objective measure, going to the US and meeting with people of that seniority in the administration when we have so many issues at play, I find it quite strange, frankly, to see some of this kind of kickback about the trip. I think Richard, as always, is engaging with the American counterparts enthusiastically, diligently, professionally.
So, Stephen, why does this dispute matter?
Yeah, I mean, it does, on the face of it, look like a very abstract dispute. How you describe a meeting, do you call it a meeting or not? But I think a couple of things are just worth noting quickly. One, there's no doubt that Richard Marles wanted a meeting with Pete Hegseth. He said that from the outset. And whilst, of course, a meeting with JD Vance is critical and important and a sign of, good access for Australia, the reality is that some of the things that Australia really wants to press hard on, including on AUKUS, they're things that are going to be decided within the Department of Defence before ultimately being decided by the US President, and Pete Hegseth is the critical man there. And if things are so chaotic in Washington at the moment that Richard Marles can't secure even a brief formal meeting with the
enough of their commentary. It's so funny how the ABC is bending over backwards trying to run cover for the government. Like, it's the way that they're framing it is that that things are so chaotic in the US, and not that the US is just snubbing the Australian government because they look at them as a bunch of weak little kids.
Yeah. I mean, the Pete Hegseth, I don't think they have things to do, but Pete Hegseth, all the US administration, they have formal meetings and they put out the red carpet for all sorts of people when there's chaos or whatever ABC is going on. So complete nonsense. That's not what's happening here. The fact that the Pentagon put out that statement, I mean, that is very calculated on their behalf. I think they wanted it to be known that the Australians can't just come in here, fake some meeting for domestic purposes, and drag the US into, using the defense ministry in the US and the VP, for instance, to make the government in Australia look good to the people. Because I feel like a lot of this is still trying to play to the domestic audience. They tried to pull one over the Australians by saying by giving the appearance that we have some sort of good relationship with America. And I don't think we do, because the Pentagon would have never put out that statement. And if you go to the dictionary, Avi, and you type in happenstance and ask for the meaning, it says it was just a happenstance that I happened to be there.
Yeah.
So that is it's literally the Pentagon saying like they just happened to be in the same space, so they had some time to catch up. You know, it's like you kind of invited yourself over to someone's event or their house when they were busy doing something else, or they just didn't really want to see you, but you kind of just rocked up. And out of courtcy, they invited you in. They said, "Oh, Carl, come inside, guys. Come inside. Have some tea and coffee and biscuits, and I'll see you later. We got things to do." It was like that. It's really actually an insult and a snub to Australia. There's another photo. There's another photo of Kevin Rudd lurking in the background like a dope as well. All of these Labor guys, they're dopes, and you're seeing just how I guess I don't know what the word is, because I think this is the worst our relationship has been with the US. In a long time. And Trump is not buying into the bullshit of Albanese. He's not buying into these games. He sees them, like you said, as a weak, hopeless bunch of individuals. At least he sees no value in a relationship.
Yeah, he sees no value, and he sees Australia as, suddenly trying to form alliances with the UK, with Canada, to undermine him, with Macron. And he's going, you know what? You're the one that's like, you're nothing without us. Like on the world stage, what you want to go align with them, but don't just come into the door's not open all the time for you. We're not going to treat you like red carpet entry. He treated Putin better than they treat Putin better than the Australian government, which is pretty shocking indication of where we currently sit in the world, because we got no other real friends. Like, our only real friend was America. The alliance of America, the UK, Canada, but it was America was the central...
A reliable partner, a reliable friend. Because a lot of the time, the UK, these countries, they're really swayed by their domestic issues, whereas America, it seems to be more, if you align with them, you support them, they support you, and they back you. But we've become wishy-washy on that front. And I don't think Trump wants to play into that whatsoever. So
it's pretty scary to think as Australia to know that the only fighting chance we ever have in securing our borders against someone like China would be America, who's just gone, you know what? You think you're your own man, go be your own man, go do it.
Yeah. 100%.
Anyways, so like I said, when we opened that segment, I was thinking, like, it's funny just to see that the American administration is treating our government with the contempt that they deserve. It's sad as an Australian that we are being mocked, we are being abused, we are being treated like crap because our leadership is just not there. Let's read these super chats.
This is from Epros3921. Thanks again, mate. Albo failed to list the IRGC as a terror organization 2 years ago. That's right.
And it was told, and it was brought to their attention, and he actually fought it. I think the Liberal Party signed a letter to him asking him to declare him 2 years ago. Did you know that?
Yeah, I've seen all this. Yeah, I mean, it's pretty obvious, like, for their terrorist organization. So.
Lisa's in the house tonight. Good to see you back, Lisa. What does Lisa say?
Lisa says, please support this Sunday. If you can't march, just get an Aussie flag out at home. Patriotism is not a crime. And there is a movement, Avi, that's happening across the UK where they're putting out the colours. There's a term for it, where people in the UK are going around and raising the St. George cross, or the flag, the British... represents the England.
The English flag,
English flag. They're putting that up, and I think it's called raising the colours. And there is a bit of that happening. I've seen a little bit of talk around that in Australia as well, that we should all proudly put up the Australian flag and do that more often. So, at least I definitely agree with you. Being patriotic. I love going to, like, especially when I go outside of the inner city. And you go to kind of regional Victoria, it's wonderful seeing just the Australian flag flying in front of people's houses. Like, And you see that overseas, like when I'm overseas. When I was
yeah,
traveling through Sri Lanka and stuff, a lot of places they have the
America.
They have the
You go to
national-
Texas. Oh,
America, they
you
have the
go-
national flag. People are proud of their country and love their country. It's just insane that
And I
we
want
don't
to give a
have that.
shout out to Lisa, because Lisa is probably one of the staunchest people. She goes out there with her flag. She'll be there. And so she goes there when there's no one there. She'll go there alone. Good on you, Lisa. I think you people should take some inspiration from your braveness. Well done, and we'll probably see you on the weekend amongst it. You can come say hi to the live stream.
Equity says maybe Rukshan can bust out some dance moves again.
Oh, people don't even know. People have not even seen your actual dance moves. I think what we need to do is we need to get that video of you and your wife dancing 20 years ago.
No, don't. She will kill me. Don't play that.
Who,
video.
your
I will.
wife?
I will do it. I'll do a dance. I'll do a dance for you, and I'll do a dance for everyone at some point.
No, I think we should ask Shani. I think
I'll do some break dancing for you guys.
I reckon we
on the
can
screen.
ask her. So what matters more to her? So does the pain of her embarrassment or the excitement of your embarrassment? Does she want to see you embarrassed more than she's willing to be
Mate,
embarrassed?
there's a lot more embarrassing videos of me dancing than that. I'm happy to give some, but I'm happy to put on a live performance. Maybe we can do that. Rukshan dancing. There you go.
You sound too keen to do it that it just doesn't seem worth it. I feel like it's going to be something you don't want, and I feel like we just hit a raw nerve. I've got to ask the boss, because I don't want to cross your wife either.
Michael, thanks for super chat. Why does Richard Miles seem gay?
That sounds like a rhetorical question.
I don't know.
He does seem really, but he does have like not feminist, female kind of.
Really? I haven't really paid that much attention.
The way his hands move, he is a bit feminine. Feminine. What am I saying? Feminine. I'm losing my mind. He's got a feminine kind of the way he carries himself.
Yeah.
And it's sort of funny when Hegseth's Hegseth's like a man. And anyway.
I mean, Pete Hegseth, actually, I just want to comment. I was going to say this. He's actually doing a really good job as Minister of Defense, whatever, in America. And remember all the stuff beforehand
where they
he took
said
office?
He was going to be
he's like a reporter, Fox thing, and he's like a drunk and alcoholic. All these kind of things they said, but he's actually, he's fulfilling that role in a way I think that Trump is very happy with. So he's doing good.
All right, quickly, there's just two more quick stories on the agenda tonight. There is our friend.
Speaking of Americans.
Speaking of Americans, we have E-Safety Commissioner Julie Inman Grant linked to a plot to sideline Trump, faces Senate order to reveal emails. Is it on this one?
No, I don't think so.
No, I think it is. You don't have much faith in...
Kenny.
Julie Inman Grant. Well, where does she come in?
Oh, that's that.
She is a very connected woman.
Here we go. Let's watch him.
In America, who for whatever reason happens to have moved to Australia about 20 or so years ago. Although, unlike some of us, she didn't bring with her a robust commitment to the values of free speech and liberty that some of us others Americans who came to Australia did. Just, in fact, the opposite. Instead, in her role as the E-Safety Commissioner, or the eKaren, and by the way, thanks to Tony Abbott, Malcolm Turnbull, and former member for Bradfield, Paul Fletcher, for creating this office, she has used the excuse of hate speech and phrases like online harm to try to force the Australian government to censor what can and cannot be said online. Now, in the past, she has tried to do everything from block footage of a local Sydney Maronite bishop when he was being stabbed by a crazed attacker in the pulpit. Well, she tried to keep that from being online. She also whipped up a phony fear during the Voice campaign that Indigenous Australians would be abused online. And many people saw that as a specious attempt to crack down on Novo messaging. Oh, and of course, Julie Inman Grant has generally been a busy little bee trying to get platforms to take down anything she doesn't like through quote-unquote informal notices. including one trying to shut down Celine Baumgarten's post about whether or not a queer club at a Melbourne...
I think it's a general overview of her.
Yeah, so leaked emails revealed that the eSafety Commissioner Julian Grant was linked to a censorship plot to sideline President Donald Trump and silence free speech Lebanese government.
Sounds like foreign election interference. Yes. If you can zoom in, Avi, on that as well.
Yeah. The trove of emails released in a House Judiciary Committee investigation detail efforts by activist group the Global Alliance for Responsible Media to limit the reach and influence of President Trump in 2022. Ms. Grant, who was paid a whopping $457,844 in 2024. Let me read that again. $457,844 in 2024. Was acting in her capacity as an independent bureaucrat for the Albanese government when she sent the emails from her eSafety work account. She was appointed as eSafety Commissioner in 2016. Now, that's the best view we get of her. Pixelated. That's the only view we want. Last night, the Australian Senate demanded Ms. Grant release any further emails between her and Garm as pressure builds on the bureaucrat to face a parliamentary probe. On November 9, 2022, at the time of the US midterm election, Ms. Grant emailed Garm initiative lead Rob Rakovitz, praising his organisation for its proactive approach, saying, "I believe Garm has significant collective power in helping to hold the platforms accountable." She also wrote, how about this election? With 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 question marks. She seems really invested in a foreign, in an American election.
This is what she is spending her taxpayer-funded time doing, lamenting the election in the United States of America. Because at the end of the day, this all goes to the fact that Avi, that she's always had this mentality against the right conservative side of America. She's always been against it from the way that she's appeared and talked about it. She talks about it all the time, and she's got this kind of vendetta against free speech that she doesn't agree with in America, and she's not been able to force her control in America through X, wherever, when she was working at Twitter. But now she's using the power of the Australian government to try to do that, because it just like totally. Seeing this, it just like pisses you off as an Australian, because it's like, this is what this lady is wasting her time on.
Ms. Grant praises GARM for its proactive approach. And these are all the emails. This is such horrible shit that we're paying her $500,000 a year to perform on our behalf.
To cry about Donald Trump with other Americans that are also left-wing anti-free speech maniacs. That's what she spends her time doing. So it's good. It's good that this has come out, and that we need to see more of these documents, because she appeared at WEF, right, famously, and she's always appeared at WEF. She is very much instrumental in trying to have this global agenda against free speech come to fruition through online controls and censorship. So she's a key player, and she takes a lot of these other institutions that are doing this, like this GARM thing and stuff. It's not really powered by the US government, if that makes sense. Do you know what I'm trying to say?
Yeah.
They're outside of government control. I remember during the Biden administration, they did try to have this misinformation czar come into power, and everyone went after it, went against it, and they got rid of her. So, but this one, Julie Iman Grant, she has the power of the Australian government behind her.
That's mad.
So that's giving her a lot of credibility with these other minor organizations around the world, and she flexes that power, and she's protected by the Australian government.
Some of this is is insane. Like, look at this. Listen to what they're writing to each other. Later that day, Mr. Rakowitz wrote to Ms. Grant saying, "I need to be spending more time with you." And then the conversation turned to US President Donald Trump. "I need to be spending more time with you. Oh, and election results. My main thing is I need to see Trump and denials effectively sidelined. But I am afraid that the contagion is too widespread to protect infection overall. I have little faith in other part establishments." And I say this as a first-generation American who is a refugee from an anti-Jewish persecution in pre-state Israel and Iraq. Despite this is really helping lock in those conspiracies. Despite the activists plotting ways to censor President Trump, Ms. Grant continued to engage, saying, America is not the country of promise I grew up in and left 22 years ago. That must be soul-destroying, Rob, she wrote. Like, what is this? Like, she's getting paid, remember, per hour to be writing this, to be having this conversation with an activist who's actively working against the President of the United States. Oh my God. Anyways, hopefully
and this is just what we know. So we need more. We need more from this.
Yeah, so what they're saying is that they're trying to drag it before parliamentary inquiry. I think she is going to one. Is that right? The senators voted in favour of this. Senator Alex Antic.
Yeah.
The Senate has voted in favour of my order for production of documents relating to communication between the Office of the E-Safety Commissioner and Global Alliance for Responsible Media. God bless Alex Antic. And like, he is the one person that gives me hope and kind of legitimizes the idea of staying within the parties and fighting from within, because yes,
he's done that very well. Yeah,
he does it very well, and he often kicks goals. So I guess that this is a watch this space, isn't it?
Yeah, and the thing is, those leaked emails are from the American Judiciary Inquiry. That's why we're demanding in Australia now to get it from our side, and we should have that oversight happening here as well, and we should have that transparency. And Julie Imam Grant, the e-safety officer, who is a public servant at the end of the day, a bureaucrat, should have no problem whatsoever opening up her publicly, those emails to the public and for letting us see the work that she does, because I'm sure it's all above board. So come on, Julie eKaren, let us see your emails.
Remember that time I caught her breaking the law?
Right. Yeah, well, I mean, she might be trying to break the law right now. Who knows? Maybe she's ferociously doing a Hillary Clinton and smashing the email servers in the basement somewhere.
Super chats quickly, and then I got one more quick story. Let's do
Effie,
it.
Thanks for joining in the show, Effie. Appreciate you coming on. Logged in late. We'll watch the full podcast tomorrow. I had to say it. Nice tutu, Avi. You're very brave.
Tell my wife that. She thinks I went too far. She thinks she knows the moment in which I went from feeling embarrassed and ashamed by the peer pressure of having to wear that thing to where it shifted to me just enjoying it. I say own it. I say own it.
Jimmy, thanks, mate. Audio skipping.
I don't know what that's about.
That's from your side.
What was it? Which audio? Of
the live stream audio.
Is that just one person saying it, or is?
No, they're saying it's fixed now. Maybe it was something going on.
So maybe was it the sound? It might have been because I had that filter on the video. Maybe that's what.
Yeah. Varun says people in chat say audio is stuffed.
Oh.
Varun,
is this now? Are we
Varun,
in the chat? All good now. They're saying okay. Was it?
No, I was going to say thanks, Varun, for using your super chat powers to speak for the people.
How long did that happen? Guys, in the chat, tell us how, because I can see, I'm looking at the chat now.
Everyone's saying it's good now. Everyone's saying it's good now. So it must have been a temporary little glitch.
Was it in the videos, or was it?
It could have just been on one of the platforms. That's the thing. Could have just been a YouTube glitch.
Oh, not on Avi's, but on Rukshan's. Bro, you tried to put it on me, and it was yours.
No, the Varun and stuff are watching on your one. What do you mean?
No. They're saying that it was your sound. I'm reading the chat. Everyone's saying Rukshan deport him or something. What?
Mate, you don't want me to get all Bob Catter on you now. CJ Legend says, will you be at the march on Sunday at Flinders?
Did you just tune in? CJ, thank you for the super chat. But come on, we've been talking about this whole that we are going to be live streaming from the front line of whatever goes down on Sunday. So we've actually got like a comprehensive live stream ready to go. I want to thank people that helped chip into my live streaming capabilities at helpavi.com. So we've got all the equipment, and Rukshan has some of his equipment from, you remember when he was a wedding photographer, those cute days?
Those days back in the day. So yeah, we're going to put it all together and try to bring you guys something special on Sunday. So tune in. The official start time is 12, so we should definitely be live by 12 when the march kicks off. But, we'll probably start a little bit earlier, right? Just to get
right here on the platform you're watching right now. Make sure to subscribe. Make sure to hit the notification bell. You'll get the notification. If you hit the notification bell on the platform, especially YouTube, if you're watching this on YouTube, hit the notification bell. Make sure to have it for all things. And as soon as we go live, as soon as we're there, and we'll go live straight away once we're set up, then you'll be able to see it all kind of come together. Because I'm sure, from experience, especially protests of this size, and when there's so many competing groups, especially like the two main, but then you never know what happens, and often it kind of happens in front of you. It starts before the official time. So tune in when we're there, but we'll definitely be there. Or if you're going to be there, you'll see us and come and say hi. But remember, we'll be live. We'll be live the whole time, so we won't have much time to chat. And if we're chatting, I'm probably going to stick a mic in your face. So you're going to be stuck talking to the chat.
You're going to be on camera.
And you're going to be forced to say, guys, hit the super chats, hit the likes, hit the subscribes, hit the shares. Let's make this the most... I feel like this is going to be one of our most popular broadcasts on Sunday. I just got that feeling, because I feel like it's just going to be... It's going to have a bit of everything. It's going to have patriotism. It's going to have, it's going to have loony lefties. It's going to have crazy Nazis. It's going to have a bit of everything. Action, comedy. There's going to be a bit of everything. I just feel like this one is. I'm definitely bringing the energy to it. As long as my sore throat...
Cruel Intentions, can you guys stuff up the audio again? I'm trying to invite Abby over to watch. I don't want to be involved in whatever this is.
You know what? I'm
starting to be a little bit uncomfortable.
I'm not defending Abby after the way the treatment I got from Abby, especially yesterday. Firstly, just super chatting on your channel to punish me for doing what she made me do in the beginning. Then on top of that, I felt like a piece of meat. I'm a sexualized piece of meat. So, Cruel Intentions, have at it. Last story. Now, this one's not so happy. This one is, I guess I've been pushing it off through there. It's a pretty shocking story. Let's watch the Aussie version of it.
A shooter has unleashed on a school church service in the US city of Minneapolis, leaving 2 children dead and 17 people injured. The 23-year-old then turning the weapon on themselves. Tonight, the FBI is investigating the attack as domestic terrorism.
I just ran under the pew, and then I covered my head.
A 10-year-old child recounting the moment bullets struck.
My friend was laying on top of me, making sure I was safe, and he got hit.
This little boy saved by his friend, who is tonight among the more than a dozen students in hospital.
There are no words that can capture the horror and the evil of this unspeakable act. Children are dead.
Those young victims, just 8 and 10 years old. Children who had been at a mass celebrating the start of the US school year with their classmates at the Annunciation Catholic School in Minneapolis.
Instead of that joy, they were met with evil and horror and death.
A gunman approached on the outside, on the side of the building, and began firing a rifle through the church windows towards the children sitting in the pews at the Mass.
The shooter barricaded the church door from the outside to stop anyone escaping and was carrying 3 guns. All were purchased legally.
That coward has been identified as 23-year-old Robin Westman. No prior criminal history.
Police say this recording was timed to post on social media as the shooting took place.
Here's my note to my family.
Westman rambling, describing a desire to kill, the 23-year-old writing a manifesto declaring the most horrific of intentions. The FBI says Robin Westman was born Robert. Court documents show a filing by their mother in 2020 requesting a name change to reflect the fact Westman identifies as a female.
The question is this an investigation into a hate crime against Catholics?
It's so awful and it's so scary.
Tonight, the US president ordering flags to fly at half-mast. The White House will continue to monitor this terrible situation. Please join me in praying for everyone involved.
And don't just say this is about thoughts and prayers right now. These kids were literally praying.
In the United States, Lauren Tomasi, 9 News.
Another trans shooter.
Yeah.
We've seen a few of these. I just want to point out, it's interesting, the media often conflates an incident and then attaches an entire ideology to it, but very careful around this particular incident. A lot of the mainstream media to do that. And, I'm just pointing out the fact that we've seen a lot of that throughout this week with another issue that's happening in Australia. But on this particular thing, the latest news is that his mum actually is employed at that school as well. The trans shooter's mum.
Oh, wow.
So she works at the school. So that was a bit of breaking news. So there's a lot of things going on here. Obviously, we have the manifesto and the horrific stuff that is etched onto his weapons and things like this. And then the downplaying of this as well on social media, where people are talking about this and telling people, you can't talk about the beliefs or the ideological views of this individual. Some people are saying you got to ignore the part about where he's scrolling things about anti-Jew sentiment, anti-Semitic things on the weapons as well. That you can't let the Jews, say that this is an anti-Semitic attack. So there's many layers to this particular story. And in amongst all of that is the tragedy of obviously these two children, innocent kids, being gunned down by another, mentally insane, deranged individual in the US. So it'll be interesting to see how the Trump administration reacts to this. Of course, US is no stranger to these type of shootings. But yeah, there's a lot of different layers to it. What are your thoughts on this?
If you looked at, I watched the video. It was kind of like insane ramblings, but then when you watched and you saw some of the stuff that he wrote on the gun, he killed Donald Trump, some Islamic words, pro-Palestinian stuff, and straight out said 6 million wasn't enough. So clearly anti-Jew stuff, anti-Christian, and this person was unwell. And I think we need to be able to have the conversation about mental illness when it comes to... But what I found intriguing in the response, or probably predictable, and I think like someone like Billboard Chris points it out, but like it was going off, Candace Owens and co... Because it was clear there was Jew hatred in there too. The target were Christian kids. I don't know exactly. We don't know yet exactly why. Whatever. There might not be any Jewish places around there. Who knows? But the guy clearly hated Jews too. And what I find interesting is that when people like Candace Owens can't pin it on the Jews, it's like this is suddenly a government psyop. And I'm like, no, you know what? It's a lunatic and somebody that's clearly got mental health issues, and that's why we've got to be able to talk about these issues before it manifests. Like you mentioned in this, when we first started talking about it, is like, this is another trans shooter. There's been a whole list of them now. Now, they don't mention that in the mainstream.
Yeah, and I don't think that's because of, that trans people are predisposed to shooting people, but there's underlying other issues related to that.
Exactly. And
that are going undiagnosed, mental health related issues that are going undiagnosed.
Exactly.
People are accepting these individuals they're just different, but there must be something else going on there, right?
Exactly.
But go back to that tweet. Read that Candace Owens tweet before you comment.
The government is behind this. Each shooting is more traumatizing than the last because the goal is to scare us into compliance. It is the tried and true tested strategy of 9/11 and the Manson murders, both CIA operations. Do not ever agree to hand over your Second Amendment rights. And it's just... I love her post.
Which government, the Trump government that are very much pro Second Amendment, are they the one that's
It's just insane ramblings by somebody who, like, if there wasn't the Jew stuff written on the gun, like when you look at people like Jake Shields, they straight up lied. They say the guy was a Jew, where he's not. His mum's like Catholic, and like you've just said, the news is that she was actually working at the school, but she was actually a Catholic, so he's not Jewish at all. But they ran with that, and it's like, let's just ignore all the hateful stuff against Jews. He clearly hated Jews. He clearly hates Christians. He clearly hates Trump. Those are things we know. And the other part of the story, which I think is getting lost in it, is like, there seems to be this, a trend. Yeah, it doesn't mean all trans people are out, people that identify as different or whatever, but gender dysphoria that used to be treated as a mental condition is now like the last 10 years, the last decade, we've been pushing more and more to encourage people's delusions and accept it, to the point where we're now encouraging people who think they're cats. Yeah. So we've been pressured by the powers to be that we need to encourage people's delusions. And does that mean everyone that has any sort of delusions is going to do something crazy? No, but clearly there are people getting lost in going under the radar, because what we used to consider red flags about people's potential mental health is suddenly being like, no, you're crazy if you don't accept that delusion. And I think that's probably the deeper problem here. I don't know if I'm articulating it well.
No, it makes sense to me. So I'm just reading this about the mum. So she worked there up until 2021. So she used to work there. So I don't know if there's unresolved issues with him and his mum. Maybe, like, she seems like a normal looking religious lady. She may have had some opposition to the things that I don't know. Like, it could be a lot of different things going on here. So for Candace Owens just to jump out and be like
it's a CIA
operation. This is
like how? Well, like why would they do like just pretend like she's not a complete nut? What if the CIA was planning an operation to look like something? Why would they do something so chaotic and weird? Why wouldn't they just do something that looks clean, and something that goes, we need to get rid of guns? This is just a gun problem. But here they've mixed in all these crazy, weird ideologies, like the anti-Jew stuff, the anti-Christian stuff, the anti-Trump stuff. And then on top of that, you've got the trans thing. Like, why would they make it so bizarre where it only opens more questions? If you want the perfect conspiracy, you want to leave as little questions as possible. But she doesn't make... That's my point with her. Is like, Candace Owens has gotten to this point, if you just read all her tweets, if she can't blame something on the Jews, and she's unlike Jake Shields, who's just going to blame the Jews, even if the Jews are the target, and that it's clearly like there's no evidence. Candace Owens is like, I'm going to go with something else.
She's like a, what's the word? What's that phrase? It's like a Timu Alex Jones.
Yeah.
She tries to do Alex Jones, but she can't do the Alex Jones thing, because Alex Jones, even when he sounds a bit like out there with the things he's saying, it's kind of like grounded in some type of thing that's almost believable.
I know, I know. He's it's a certain art, and Alex Jones has it. She doesn't. And she's like, the more she talks now, every time I'm seeing a lot of people who did support her. Like and we've watched, I've watched, in the beginning, I was probably one of the first. I actually got a message once at work, like, don't pick fights with this was like early on when I saw the red flags. I'm like, dude, I can see where she's heading. And it was like, all right. And I go, all right, cool. I'm just going to, because the point was, she's not the fight. The fight is not with her. The fight needs to be with the left, with the this, with the that. Don't just pick fights with people on your side. And then a couple months later, it became clear to everyone, including those that were telling me not to stop doing it. They started doing it. And then like over time, like even people a few months ago So even with all her clear Jew hatred over the last couple of years that had been escalating, until a few months ago they were still accepting it. But now it's getting to a point where people are like, dude, this is just crazy. Like I can't defend it because it's just cuckoo. And so
well, like I think what's happened, like it kind of like a lot of this kind of Israel, anti-Israel, all this kind of stuff that's going on right now, it aligns a lot of people in terms of their own kind of views on that. But as now that's kind of fading a little bit, in terms of it being a topic of viral discussion. Like, there was a bit of a period of time where it was like the thing to do for these commentators.
Talk about Israel.
Talk about Israel, and they've kind of gone so far extreme on that point that it's kind of like old news almost. I'm probably not explaining this properly.
No, I get what you're saying. It does feel like there was a peak, but having said that, until this war is over, I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, there's always something else. There's always something else. And look, sometimes it's valid. Sometimes there's valid criticisms. But she's gone down the path of the pure.
And she's
extreme.
obsessed.
Yeah, pure obsession, pure extreme on that particular point of view, and there's kind of no coming back from that, really, because a lot of people have seen her for what she is when it comes to this. So I don't know. Maybe she's just got a lot of followers outside of the political space, and that kind of keeps her going because there is a lot of support for her still, definitely.
Yeah. But it is waning. So she is becoming more and more fringe. That's the point. So the fringe itself has grown, but it's still the fringe, and I think she was, even till a few months ago, enjoying very much mainstream conservative support. That mainstream conservative support is waning by the day, and all you got to do is look at the comments on her X, where you can't delete them and you can't have the people clean it up and make it look
exactly.
Clean.
And some people in the comments are saying like her following is growing, but the thing is, you have to understand is Candace's legitimacy comes from her connections and her, the confidence or whatever she might get from people in the same space, giving her credibility. There's lots of influencers. There's people with hundreds of millions and tens of millions of followers that say all sorts of insane things. But for her credit, she really wants the acceptance of those people. Maybe she doesn't want that anymore. Maybe she's moved on from that. Maybe she's going to go.
And technically, your following can grow. Good on you. If you go from being a mainstream political figure in the United States with 2 million followers in the United States, and then you quadruple it, but your followers are suddenly all Pakistani because suddenly you have a common enemy and they're cheering you on because you're hating on the Jews. It's not the same value. And I think that's kind of what you're saying.
For me personally, there's like a few billion Indians, right?
Exactly.
right? Few whatever Indians, right? But I don't talk. I know if I start talking about Indian politics and start doing all the Indian stuff and kind of saying stuff that Indians will like, it's like you can court that audience, but it's not the audience that I want. I'm interested in,
and that's what's
definitely
that's
what's happening.
I'll tell you, people who don't understand the internet won't really understand that. If you don't actually, I think we work in it, so you kind of get it. But if you look, that's why it's good to look at the comment section on X, for example, compared to her YouTube growing. YouTube growing is exactly that, and especially now that YouTube is actually automatically dubbing content, right? So people in Pakistan and people in all other countries that just hate Israel. So there's 2 billion Muslims already. Then there's the extreme of the other right that is growing, that fringe around the world. So there is certainly a massive audience there, but they're not the quality audience that she had, which was mainstream conservative in the United States. That was where she's no longer the queen of the conservative in the United States. She's very much considered the fringe, and by the day, she's becoming more and more fringe. She's gotten to a point where she's becoming, I think she's actually past Alex Jones in becoming fringe. That's where she's at. Alex Jones is starting to sound normal when he goes on down rabbit holes compared to what she says. Because he makes it, I think you're right, he ties it up neatly. And you go at the end of it, But like then when you actually fact check half the shit, you're like, all right.
Well, he's a master of the art form.
He's a master.
For a long time. And he kind of created the art form of doing that. And I'm not having a go at him. I think he does a great job of raising awareness of certain issues. But he's a certain type of showman that he himself will admit in court that he's entertainment.
And exactly. He's not. Look. He's not the most honest reporter. He's great entertainment value. He does say a lot of true things, but he also, a broken clock is right twice.
Iran-Israel conflict.
Exactly, a perfect example.
We're all meant to be dead by now.
Oh yeah.
Alex Jones.
With Alex Jones, we are heading into World War 17 this year. All right, let's read the last super chats because we're
Abby,
way
thanks
over
for the
time.
super chat. I'll be seeing you on Sunday, Rukshan and Twinkle Toes. Abby, please come say hello to us.
Rukshan's suddenly your biggest fan. I'm not feeling that warm.
Abby's. I don't know where these super chats are coming, but I believe Abby is on Team Rukshan. So
we are going to stick a mic in Abby's face and hold her accountable for the abuse that I've received this week. Thanks for the super chat, Abby. What do we got here? Baz, go on.
A bloke who thinks he is a girl did something insane. I'm shocked.
Yeah,
That's
thank you for making that statement in one sentence.
Michael, thanks, mate. Hamas propaganda lies created this feeling.
Hamas propaganda lies created this feeling. I think you're talking about the general thing. Yes, I think so. But Hamas has always, the idea of Pallywood's been around for a long time. Like, there's literally.
I mean, look, they're like, again, talking about this as a overall thing. Their propaganda has had a level of success that you haven't seen in propaganda for a long time, in terms of penetrating the West.
Yep.
They've been very effective and successful. If they're good at anything, I think they've mastered the art of propaganda and getting the West to disseminate that propaganda and fight amongst themselves. I mean, they've been very successful at that. Considering the fact that, they were able to even convince people in the West that they didn't live stream the atrocities of October 7th.
Yep.
That is the level of their skill and craftsmanship when it comes to propaganda.
Thanks for the super chat. Lisa's back with the super chat.
Lisa, thank you. First the Saturday people, now the Sunday people. If kids had access to psychological help before Choppy Chop, maybe things would work out
I like
better.
I don't mean to be laughing, but the way you just called it Choppy Chop. But absolutely, I agree with Lisa. And you can't. You can't say that enough. Like the first Saturday people and then the Sunday people, because that's exactly what you saw on the messages on the guns. It was all about the Jews and then the Christians, and the Jews were a lot more prominent on it. That's why, I feel like I wonder if you look at that area, are there any? I doubt it. I actually went to school, a Jewish school in Minnesota,
Minneapolis,
for a very short time. I lasted 2 weeks, but. The point is, there's not many Jews around there. There's actually a big Islamic community, but not many Jews. That's actually, what's her name? I think it's Ilan Omar's district.
Is that? Oh, I wonder if she was.
That was where we, that's where, because Laura Loomer, when she confronted Ilan Omar, before anyone even knew who she was, when she was running for the first election, she confronted Ilan Omar and Rashid Tlaib in Minneapolis, and I was holding the camera for her. Oh, that was a long time ago. That was before anyone knew him. Thank you, Lisa, for the super chat and all your super chats and your generosity. I really appreciate your support to the show.
Cruel Intention says MSM calling him she is so disturbing. That was a male crime. Affirming trans is not how you treat.
Did they say she?
I think they
yeah,
have been some media. I've seen that. Yeah,
because I found a lot of the officials on the ground who were condemning anyone that's making this about trans and blah blah going on, but they were very careful to just name, not they used the name rather than the gender.
Yeah,
I think they didn't want to feed into it, anyways. But interesting. Yeah, it's pretty crazy that didn't even look like a woman. That's the thing, and it certainly wasn't acting like a lady. If you think of a woman, you're thinking of a mothering, nurturing, good-hearted, empathetic person, not a killer who charges into, because think about it, like think about it traditionally, in the school shootings in America, what is the percentage of them that have been historically women? It would be so low. Every time you think of it,
I think it's very low.
Very, very low. But suddenly there's this spike in men pretending to be women. A lot of like there's a bunch of the last mass shootings have been trans, and so that's the first time women are suddenly conducting active mass shootings. Like what? It's dudes being, it's mental guys being mental guys.
Only, I'm just looking at the stats here. Only 4% of school shooters since the Columbine High School shooting are female, so it's very low.
Very low until now. Suddenly there's a spike because the media is going to claim they're all females. Catherine says Ilhan Omar showed up and laughed. Can't stand her. Yeah, you're talking about that. That's really, no. Please, that can't be possible. Ilhan Omar went to the school shootings. I'll have to look at that. Anyways, guys, thank you so much for tuning in tonight. It's went way over time. Really appreciate you keeping us company tonight. Remember, before you leave, smash that like button, share it, invite somebody else to join our growing community here. Subscribe to the channel, hit the notification bell, and make sure if you're not going to one of those protests on Sunday, tune in. Rukshan?
Yeah. Definitely tune in, guys. I'm looking forward to streaming on Sunday. Going to be doing a lot of walking, Avi, and
are you fit?
I think I got to lose a few of the kilos that I put on when I go to Canberra and just hang out in hotel rooms, eating room service and things like this. So it's good to have a good walk before I go back there. And yeah, guys, definitely make sure you're following us on all our socials, YouTube especially, as well as X. And yeah, we'll see you guys on Sunday. Really looking forward to it, guys.
God bless. Stay safe. See you on Sunday.